The following stream contains mature content and subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the beginning, the Maker formed the angels of the dawn, whose purpose was to carry the will of the Maker with creation. It was our love of you that led to revolution in the heavens. In the end, our efforts failed. The race of Adam and Eve buckled from the weight of revelation and turned their backs on us. We were prepared to suffer pain and indignity at the hands of the heavenly host, but our fate was far crueler than we could imagine. Our punishment was to be forgotten, consigned to an empty void, barren of anything but us until the end of time. That was until cracks appeared in the boundary of hell. Our dukes, seeing their chance, sent us through the cracks with a simple command: free us and vengeance will be ours. We arrived on a world already on the edge of ruin, and we have seen mankind has suffered enough for our sins. Our hope is that there are others who can remember that they were once angels, and together we can make the world right again, whatever the cost.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to McStabber Studios' Demon: The Road to Hell. Of course, normally I am the storyteller, but tonight I'm just fucking Shanky.
That's right. I am Mama McStabber, and I play Arazeth the Scourge, who possessed Virginia Waugh, and tonight I will be the moderator of this live cast Q&A.
Hello, I'm Maddox. I played Carsador, the Malefactor, who possessed Clark Miller, and tonight I will be some jackass on a stream.
I am Timberbred 411. I play Agareth the Fiend, who possessed Thomas Ingram, and I am the button pusher extraordinaire, always.
I'm House. I played Bazazel the Defiler, who possessed August North, and I'll be whatever you want me to be.
Hello, I'm Ivy Raven, and I played, whatever. I'm Chimdeziel the Defiler, who possessed Kathleen Stone. So.
I'm Unconscious Celestial, and I played Juliriel the Slayer, who possessed Michelle Mars Porter.
And welcome, everyone, to the live cast Q&A. These are a lot more informal than what you're seeing our normal streams. Hell, I'm not even wearing a hat, so that should tell you quite a bit. It's more of a relaxed, kind of a last hurrah for the current cast before, well, we go on break for a bit.
It's really just our pre and post Zoom chats just in one stream.
Well, and with a chance for the viewers to actually ask questions. We're really available on Discord, and people are allowed to ask questions there, but it always seems they save them for Q&A. So fuck it, we'll do Q&A.
Because it feels like they're having an actual conversation with us when they can see our faces.
Yeah, well, you know. I mean, that's
All
get
right.
faster answers.
So we already have one question from Lashote, and he says his wife asked, when is the next season? First, I want to say I'm so happy your wife enjoys our shows.
When's the next season? That's actually a very complicated question.
Yeah.
The nature of Demon, the reason we're doing it is we love playing it. It's a fun system. It's actually an unbalanced but fun system. But I have limits as to 2 streams at a time is about all I can manage mentally because it's a lot of work and it takes up a lot of free time on top of my day job. So we're taking a break from Demon after season 2 with no set return date for season 3 because we've got other content we've got lined up that we're doing in a month. On Tuesday nights, we'll be kicking off Scion with Zach Rules. I'm running tech for that. So that'll tie me up for that. And then we're also got a Dark Ages stream that we are currently gearing up to begin. We've got, let's be fair, we're waiting on Shanky before we can start scheduling when it is because I'm waiting on my costume for that particular stream. It's still not come in yet, so I can't even make the full intro without my proposed costume.
We're also waiting on Mama because I need to make a special headpiece for the Dark Ages character that I have not started yet.
So it's a complicated answer. When will Demon come back? I don't actually know right now. The beauty of where we're going next for Demon, which will be LA in season 3, is unlike seasons 1 and 2, where there was a lot of prep before we went into the next season in terms of what story I'm going to do that season, what's the focus. Season 3 will be a focus on the choir, whoever is playing in it, first getting to LA, which means there's not a lot of prep for that season because, well, it's going to be a whole season of getting to know the Infernal Courts because the Infernal Courts are already there. So it's one that I don't need a lot of prep time, and which means I also don't need a lot of lead up. So I guess the real answer is, when will Demon season 3 begin? When we have a lull in other content.
It's to be determined. And Lashote, you're right. So basically no sooner than 20 weeks, no shorter than 20 weeks. At this point, just because we've got the Scion, which is probably going to be similar to our other chronicle type streams, where it's probably going to be 8 to 10 sessions for a season, and then we might have, I don't know, Ravnos Archon's kind of tossed around some ideas for a new Mage Chronicle that might be happening. If Ravinia wants to bring Werewolf back, we've got to touch base with our streamers to see what they're planning on doing, and then figure out where we can fit Demon in.
Yeah, that's really
it's
the
kind of like
gist of it.
herding cats.
I know Dark Ages.
Demonic cats.
Dark Ages will
cats.
be a live stream. It
And
will
that'll
not be
be on
pre-recorded.
Wednesdays.
That'll be a Wednesday. For those that don't understand, Windy City will come to an end at some point.
Yeah.
We have, as a cast, discussed how many seasons we're getting of Windy City. We have a general idea. We're not going to reveal that to the viewers, but we have a general idea. And I'll be fair, once Windy City is over, and I'm not recording one night, or the cast isn't recording one night, streaming another night, the next Vampire Chronicles, from here on out, all of our streams are going to be live, not pre-recorded. That'll actually free up bandwidth so that we can bring more shows to the channel, because we're not dedicating one whole night to recording, one day to post-production, and then one day to streaming it. That frees up a lot of my time. So, minimum of 20 weeks before we return to Demon. And I know that will upset some people out there, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
We are just individuals, and we don't have, a bunch of staff that can run shit for us.
Yep.
So
it's a lot of work running a studio.
All right. Astral did ask, and I fully expected this question because he tends to ask this question every Q&A. For the cast and the ST, best scenes from each player. So, ST, why don't you tell us the best scenes from each individual player at the table that you recall? Let's start off with that.
Damn it. Okay, I gotta think on these.
Thank you, Astral. You allowed me to put my husband on the spot.
Yeah, these I normally am thinking while the other players are answering. I'm normally not first for a reason. Trying to think here. I'm going through the season and what we went through. Well, one scene that I liked, which was everybody in it, and I'm going to bring that, was the birth of Rosemary's Baby.
God, I love that scene.
Because everyone had a role. We revealed a new ability for demons that hadn't been shown before. And it was the need to save the baby. I like that particular scene. That was a good one to do for everybody. You had a bunch of some funny moments coming in and out of the bathroom as you're teleporting through that bathroom, using that bathroom door as your waypoint, which is kind of funny. And it was just a fun scene to do. But it was a very meaningful scene. Let's see, for Virginia, I liked her handling of Cineval at the end. I did enjoy that scene. For Clark, damn, Clark, it's tough for you because you have so many minor scenes, but good scenes.
I'll wait.
To where you're doing, it may not even be central to the story, but you're just doing a little bit of the Clark, showing a bit more of who Clark is. And you end up watching going, damn, I'm getting to understand what Clark is. You know, it's hard to pinpoint one scene from that one. It really is.
Trying to understand what Clark is.
I definitely have one.
Well, I'm glad because my brain is fogging on some of these.
I know so much happens.
Thomas, okay, Brad, you're I'm just going to teleport into the back or into the front passenger seat of the car. just how, I'm going to go from the door to the door as we're moving and just end up in his passenger seat. Just how calmly you see something as batshit crazy as that.
With a straight face.
With a straight face.
Linear space can kiss our ass.
Yes. Dan, with August, I loved all the scenes with your wife. The emotion you put into it. Look, I'm not the greatest at the emotion side, but the emotion that you could see on all those scenes from you, I loved it. For Ivy Raven, I've got to admit, every scene where you are the conscience of this choir of angels, you really are their moral compass. Because each one in their own way is, most of them are morally bankrupt somehow. Most. August is so wide-eyed and naive about what it is now that he's not understanding it all. But Kathleen, when she gets involved, she is the moral compass. Every time you do that, it shows who Kathleen is. And even shows who her defiler is, because though you have a low legacy, you can see you are trying to be the inspiration to make them more moral. That is what the defilers did. They tried to be the muses and the imagination, creativity. You're trying to make them be better. And I'm not going to lie, Michelle, yours and Dan's scene riding in the car together, where it was just the two of you, is a small scene, but it was just a great scene. I don't like some of the bigger scenes, other than everyone for the births, aren't always the best scenes to me, because it's the little things that the big scenes I plan, I know are coming. It's the little scenes the players come up with and the little bits they insert that makes it a good scene, not my part. So there's mine.
Brad, you mentioned you wanted to go next. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just because I know these can always be kind of who doesn't really want to be the first or next to go. Yeah, I think for me, like we were talking about this before the stream, how Raylan doesn't like doing combat in games. But I think for me, hammer time with fucking Arazeth,
flaming hammer time,
was right. So like it for me, I think as a player, having been in several games with you where you don't typically enjoy combat, seeing at least some kind of combat scene where you got to have a little bit of fun and actually seem to enjoy
go
it
like
was really
balls
cool.
Out and just like ah!
Yeah. And then, you know, obviously that's that little bit of paladin vibe that I always enjoy.
Which is not what the Scourges were known for.
That's what she is, though.
For Carsador, 100%, it's the scene with the priest.
Oh God!
The intro one or the outro one, because they were very different scenes.
Yes.
I didn't want to bring that up because it would seem like I'm focusing on just the end of the season, but
no, even the first one was so good.
How you tried, and then he just is so stubborn, and you can see.
I mean,
how
there's no reason to not be
get.
cordial in the beginning. It's like, oh, you're just a human. You're just bitching. I get it. Whatever. I think.
No, I like seeing those little snippets of Carsador where there's very much like the majority of the time Carsador just kind of gives off this I could care less vibe.
No, Brad, be fair. Carsador, no, Clark is not a good person. He was never a good person. Carsador isn't really either. His ethics are bankrupt in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
One of the more fucked up characters I've ever designed for myself.
He's still not trying to be High Torment. That's not playing Low Torment has a lot of ways you can interpret that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a monster, but he's not a good person.
For House August, what Shinky said, I think for me it's any of the scenes with his wife, but then also that scene with Juliriel in the car. It's just seeing the humanity in these characters, especially, as somebody who typically plays not necessarily, good or I guess like positive people, like seeing somebody just do it and take it the entire other direction where it's like all of the wonder, like playing into that wide-eye glee, everything's new and shiny, which I loved. Again, and argue about it all you want, Morgan. I absolutely agree that Kathleen is the moral center, especially for someone like Agareth. And I've said it time and time again where in that raid, if she had not been there, he probably wouldn't have thought twice about just wiping them out, because it's not that he is a character that that hates humans or sees them as like tools to be used, but it's risk management. If he knows this, these things can jump, they're a problem, like he would just kill them and be fine with it because it stops a problem. Whereas you in that moment and throughout the season and even season 1 have been very much a keeping the human part and not necessarily like focusing on the demon part, which is what I really, really liked with her. And Juliriel, I mean, it's shock to everybody. I like death themed characters. But I think for me, it was a combination of that fight, that car ride, and then at the end, speaking with Uusil. It was just like there's just so much all over the place, and everyone did a great job. As far as like my personal favorite with me, it's without a doubt, it's the fucking car door magic, because fuck, that was fun.
I will go next because if I don't get it out of my head, I'll forget. So, all right. So I'm just going to go around the table. So with Carsador, the one I think of is the scene with Ragdan.
I'm pretty proud of that one. Not gonna
That
lie.
was freaking chef's kiss. I mean, it was just so good. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And then, you go get him a hamburger.
Look, malefactors can always relate to other malefactors.
He was hungry.
I got him a fucking burger. It
I
takes
know,
a
it was
second.
so good. For Thomas, it was talking with the demon that was in the hedge. That was such a good scene for Thomas. It showed how his brain worked. You know, how he went from one logic point to the next to the next. Now, granted, he needed the others with him to kind of say, okay, let's not talk about that. But, you know,
Yeah, rein him in.
Rein him in because he'll go off on his tangent. But it was really insightful into who your character was, seeing that. So I love that scene. Bazazel. Oh my goodness. Really, there's just so many scenes I loved with your character. Dan, you are an amazing role player. I have loved every time I've sat at a table with you, watching you play. And having the luxury of occasionally being in scenes, you know, volleying with you. It's amazing. But seriously, I loved, everybody's going to say the wife scenes. Of course, they were so good. I loved how you were playing that out. But I really loved how you interacted with each of our characters. You kept true to who Bazazel, or really August, was throughout all of this. But I could see that struggle that you were emoting with that character, juggling between the human side and the demon side. I could see that play out on your face in every interaction, and it was just brilliant.
Thank you.
Trimdeziel, why on earth do you think Arizeth wanted you to go with her to the fucking shelter to not just talk to them, but also to actually volunteer? Because she needs the moral compass of this fucking group to make sure she doesn't fuck up. Okay.
Also, talkers are just invaluable in any actual social
But
situation.
it's not that as much. It's mainly because Arizeth knows sometimes she forgets how powerful she is and she fucks up
Gives people cancer.
and gives people cancer or cures people of cancer. You know, and it's just, it's like Arizeth is very much a being of extremes. And so she really needs that calm presence with her to help her.
So what you're trying to say is Aerith's going to do something stupid.
Pretty much.
She's gonna stick her head in and be like, Kathleen, I need help.
I need help. Yeah, that's
What did I do?
Yeah, that's legit it. So yeah, no, really, Trimdeziel, because you play your character as having such low legacy and very much more in touch with the humanity side of her, as
Psychiatrist side, no less.
the psychiatrist side, you offer up to anyone you converse with in game, whether it be the fellow demons, other demons, or even humans. What you do is you offer up compassion without the bullshit fluff. And I'm here for it. It is so good.
I think I have to make a comment about it after everyone's done their stuff probably, but I have a reason, I think, for why Trimdeziel comes out the way she does.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
But I love it. I love it. Your character has been invaluable in both seasons because all of the demons that you've played with have needed you. You know, really. So yeah.
First season with Evie Eternal's character,
Yeah.
dealing with the PTSD,
Yeah.
and then Red's character of
Mhm.
accidentally killing somebody in a car wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Trimdeziel, yeah, both seasons.
Mm-hmm. Invaluable character concept. Invaluable. Druliriel. I love how you present your character. She is soft-spoken. She isn't in your face. But when she says something, that shit has gravity. And the way you played out that scene in that bathroom, that's a fucking masterclass in emotive roleplay. For real. You literally, I mean, the tension and anxiety you had in that scene was palpable. And it was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You were like, what the fuck is this? Oh my God, am I going to get destroyed?
You never got to find out.
Yeah.
Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was so good. I mean, I was literally left kind of speechless after. I'm like, oh my God, that was so good. But literally every scene you're in is very much impactful because, like I said, your character doesn't say a whole lot, but when she does, it is significant.
Unless it's comedy, funny.
But you're hilarious too, so that's fantastic. But no, I love it because Mama has a crush on the character of Druliriel, okay? Because Druliriel is like the best at just being very careful with what she says, and when she says it, it's going to make a mark.
Which makes sense. She's the 6th house.
Yeah. I love that character so
Or sorry, the 7th house. The last,
Mhm.
was considered the lowest of the houses, though they were one of the most important of all of them.
Yeah. But no, that's my around the table. Now for my character, my favorite scene was actually the one that we did, the brief scene of Virginia and her daughter, turning her into a Thrall. That was a hard scene for me to play out. But it was important to my character's story to actually show it instead of tell it. And I loved that scene so much. And I also love the fact that Shanky let me roll with the fact that the entire group of demons comes to Virginia's house for dinner routinely.
Why would I not agree with that?
I love that. They have like a family dinner every week or two.
You know my thing. It's the player's world, not mine.
Yeah. But no, it's great. But no, I really did. That was my favorite scene for my character. And so now whoever wants to go.
I can go next. I kind of had to write notes, but so my favorite scene for Arazeth was definitely with going into Low Torment to get at the malefactor and just shocking everybody there in their cars, just don't even care. Focus. Bad malefactor. Yeah. It was fun. That was a very fun to watch. For Carsador, I'm kind of torn. So it was either the the ending priest one. I was just like, fuck you and your holy water. And then or the bar and just the constant having to yeah, it was funny. For Thomas, I had so much fun doing the scene with the Jade Demon. And I know we kind of had a little bit of misgiving. I was like, I wasn't actually trying to cut you off or anything. But yeah, no, it was such a fun scene to do. That was fun.
The Jade Demon one I find amusing with you too, because for all the Jade Demon ones was, for those that do Windy City, that was kind of a thing. I mean, the Jade Demon was a big deal in the early Windy City. And then y'all on the other side finally.
For forgive me, I can never say it right, but for August, I think it was when we went to the bookstore. It was just, yeah, that was because you were just like, I'm not saying a word, but just the afterwards and when you were coming out of the shop and you were just like, anything. It was showing that very humanity part with August and the this isn't right that you're scamming people. I'm gonna say something and prevent you from doing it this time. For Tramdeziel, I thought it was so cool when you were like when you were able to like change your form for like checking Rosemary's to see who the partner was, and you were just like, I can do this now, I'm gonna do it. And it was, I liked that scene a lot. It was fun.
Very creative use of powers.
Yeah.
Gotta say.
Yeah, and
Brilliant.
and I know behind the scenes I kind of know that she was excited to be able to do it, so it was like I can actually do something now, let me do it. So it was good. And then for me, the bathroom scene, and part of the reason why the bathroom scene was memorable for me was behind the scenes in chat, because everybody was fucking dying at the fact that I went to the bathroom of all fucking places. And I was just trying to think at the time, I was like, where is it going to be quiet and private that I can do this without people like watching me just speak to this hole in a wall or something? You know what I mean? So that was the first thing that came to my mind. But in chat, everyone was like fucking going to the bathroom. And then it became like a thing where
Nothing
it's just
bad
like
ever happens in the bathroom.
well, everybody seems to just use the bathroom. We use the bathroom as a portal. We use the bathroom as a realm gate. Like, just like, what's with the fucking bathrooms? Everybody loves the fucking bathrooms, I guess.
Gives
I
me
didn't
meaning
even
to the
think of that.
porcelain gods.
I
Damn.
didn't even think of that fact that the bathroom was used so much.
So much
in
this season.
Well, so like for Agareth, it was so the reason like he always used the bathroom, especially like in Karstord's apartment, is it's a central doorway. But at the same time, it's just like exactly what Julirial. It's this idea that like it's such a fucking versatile room that everybody overlooks, but the second you start using it, it's nothing but laughs, because it's just like, and we're all chuckle fucks, so it's just like
even Lucifer used the bathroom to teleport out.
Yes.
When he was in the bar, he went to the bathroom to teleport out of the
Fucking
place.
asshole.
Maybe it's a fallen thing. Maybe that's it.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
I was gonna say I can go unless Maddox
go for it.
It doesn't matter to me. I was gonna say, so I'll just go whatever. So, for Julirial, I really liked the scene after we came upon Usiel in the house with what's his face, Franklin, after the fact, because like you looking into the skull and getting all the information was important, but it was also like, if I don't know, it kind of had that vibe to me that like your character was kind of scared, because you're like, oh fuck, he's actually like really powerful. And yeah, for Arazeth, I'm trying to remember all the different scenes, and I'm trying not to repeat everyone's scenes constantly that everyone else has said. But yes, the scene with your daughter was very good, because it's Arazeth is the most humane and also the most inhumane with her children.
Yes.
Because she cares about them because of Virginia, but at the same time, Arazeth is just like their tools. It is the vibe that I always got. I mean, it's like you care about them, but also like you aren't sure about how to like connect to them. So there's always that like
more it. That's more it. Yeah.
It's the thing of like, I care about these kids, but like they're important, but they're important to Arazeth, I think, not for the reasons that like they were important to Virginia.
Right. Exactly.
With Clark, shit. Yeah, the pre-scene was a lot of fun, obviously. I was trying, there was a different scene that I was thinking of and I cannot remember what it is. So I'll just go with the pre-scene, because that was just a lot of fun with you being like, yeah, holy water, bitch, and like being so frustrated with him.
It's the most petty thing I have ever had Clark do, because Maddox was getting pissed in real life a bit. I was like, you fucking dense fuck.
Yeah, your frustration was coming through. With Thomas, it was probably shit. Drinking the Defiler at the end, drinking Chef, only because it was, I don't feel like it was in character for for like Druliriel or myself to do it, being there in the same place, but like it showed Agareth for like who he is.
What better way to stop him from being sent back to the abyss and coming back to the world and doing it than pragmatically go, I'll just destroy your soul. I know you're not coming back now.
That's exactly why Arazeth did it to the Devourer.
Oh,
one
no,
less,
I'm not saying there
one
isn't
less
value
problem in the
there.
world permanently.
Oh, no. 100%. Agareth in those situations is risk management. Minimize the risk, 100%.
That asshole was harming humans, so Arazeth was not giving him a
I do agree, though. I could not have seen Drulariel or Trimdeziel being the one to do it.
With Uzael, Uzael, I can't do it. Honestly, my favorite scene, no offense, was your introductory scene in like the first session. Seeing August, a man who's down on his luck, and like all of the elements that were there, and then finally like you did something right, you're good, feel good in the world, and then the world's just like fuck you. A runner-up for actual Bazazel though was driving around with chefs with the homeless man that chef's Thrall, because you're just like, oh, there's that deli I love, and you're just like, I hope he doesn't know that I'm talking to anybody like the whole time, you know.
Little known fact about Chuck, you would have found out if you'd followed him at some point. He wasn't homeless. He had him a nice townhouse in another part of Chicago. He just went there to get free food. He was mooching just for the free food.
I figured. I just really liked the like European vacation vibes of like, oh,
the tourist vibes.
Of like, hey kids, there's Tower of London.
I haven't been to the Museum of Art. Is it any good? You know,
but 100%, it totally fit in with August Bazazel and that fucking childlike wonder. Yeah. Where even if it wasn't
us information of where he was,
even if it wasn't one of those like I'm clearly feeding information to somebody, but it's 100% like, oh my god, that's pizza. Oh my god. It's a truck
That
stop.
building is fucking tall.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's a boulder. I love that boulder.
It's not just a boulder. It's
I'm going to use, oh my god, it's pizza. I'm going to use that at some point.
The next time we order pizza. Oh my god.
Probably.
Pizza.
My kids will look at me like I'm crazy.
I know it was the first, I guess it was the pre-recorded stuff. I can't remember because I thought it happened in season. For me, my favorite scene for Trimdeziel was actually the scene with her ex-husband Marvin on the roof of his apartment.
Oh my god,
that was the between season content. Yep.
Yeah, that was so good.
That was episode 1.
Technically episode 1.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite scene I have ever done with Trimdeziel.
That was so good.
Because I was like, I don't know, it just felt right, and I was like, I hope I'm actually conveying emotion, because I am not good at showing emotion. I am a very much like a fucking like dead face or whatever. But I was just kind of so I try to convey it as best I can with like my voice or whatever. But like to me, that scene, it really drove home who Trimdeziel had been in season 1, and then kind of helped build upon who Trimdeziel would continue to be in season 2. And so yeah.
I can go.
Yep. Go on.
I can go. Yeah, again, I'm just going to kind of go in a circle. Oh, man. Mom, I don't know if there's one scene, because I feel like you command every scene when you are taking lead. I think probably when we were at the shelter, you were just kind of taking charge. I think what really stood out to me. No, I take that back. I mean, you were. But I think when we were kind of dealing with all the Rosemary stuff, just how your maternal instincts kicked in, I thought was extremely strong. And I think you were certainly tapping into something that was personal too. So that really showed.
Thank you.
I feel for Carsador, I hate to be a broken record here, but easily my favorite was the priest scene at the end. Admittedly, as much as Dan likes Carsador, Bazazel is very leery, I think, because they're the most of the other people in the choir. They're the most opposite. And there was a lot of issues when Carsador had caused that accident when he was when he went after Chuck. Not that he had a problem with you going after Chuck, but that there was collateral damage from that. But if Bazazel would have been able to see Carsador at the church, I think he would have started to change his opinion a little bit more. So that's why I like that scene, just because for that reason. For Agareth, I think my favorite moment was when you went in your apocalyptic form, just how you described what it looked like.
High or
Because
low torment?
Both.
maybe-
Both.
Yeah. Because I think that's the first time a lot of this is going to be kind of framed how Bazazel saw it, because that's just the lens I've been looking through this whole season, is that's the first time I think Bazazel could relate to you, and that sense of wonder, though it's looking at it from a different way. Like, your character is still very ingrained in the mysteries of the universe and what's out there. And I think that's just a different way of looking at that Bazazel had, but it's the first time I think he really kind of could relate to Agareth. For Tremdeziel, I think just overall, I liked that Tremdeziel was kind of the big sister defiler to August, though my favorite moment was near the end, where, because most of the time it's like Bazazel would ask something and she would be kind and respond and say, oh, I think you should do it this way. But then when Bazazel made the "did you punch yourself in the dick" joke to Carsador, and how she just played off of that, I think was the first time where it wasn't so, there was more equal footing, that they were just playing off of each other rather than like, oh, you should do it this way, or maybe that, like being kind of that big sister role or that therapist role, which killed me. I thought that was one of the funniest moments.
Sometimes it's important, if you're going to beat your meat, do it properly.
Exactly. Excuse me. And then for Druliriel, you all mentioned a lot of them that I'd say, so I'm just gonna again go back to that car ride, because I think that was one of just my favorite scenes in the season, just being able to talk about that dynamic between humanity and being a demon. Like I said, that the house was up there, the bathroom's certainly up there, but just from kind of a micro level on what we are as characters, I really like that exploration. For Bazazel, like I said, I could say the singing, but I think that was more cathartic for Dan than it was for the character dealing with stuff. So, and again, I appreciate you all tolerating those moments. But I think my favorite scene for Bazazel was the first time he met Karen. And that was the first time, like, he wasn't so wide-eyed and he wasn't so, like, confused. It's like, okay, it's like his kind of bullshit radar finally turned on, and he's like, something ain't right here.
You mean
so
Chef Karen?
Yeah, Chef Karen. I'm going to play it kind of coy here. And that, I think that's really when more of his demon side came out than his human side. Whereas most of the season had probably been more of the latter.
Now we're all staring at you, Maddox.
Oh, I know. I thought somehow going last would give me the most time to think of shit, but I guess not.
No, that's the trick. Going last always fucks you in the end.
It does.
All right. First, Virginia, I can't speak to any one specific thing, but just the amount of tag team bullshit we seem to get away with in Demon specifically is weird.
I love it.
Arazeth goes, all right, I have a malefactor for this. And then anytime I need shit, it's like, hang on, I got a scourge. Like, it's not codependence exactly, but we seem to lean on each other a lot.
We do, and it's so great. I mean,
Here, borrow one of my hammers. Beat him with the flaming hammer. Come on, get in there.
yeah, seriously. I mean, I kind of see them like they're kind of the buddy cop team. You know? They really are.
That's horrifying.
You've got Arazeth, who we're actually in Zoom chat. We were talking about like alignments for our characters, and Maddox here said that Carsador is like chaotic neutral.
That was
Oh, I'm sorry. Who was?
Delirial who said that.
Oh, Julariel who said that? I'm sorry. I thought you did.
Nope,
Oh, yeah,
Julariel.
no, Julariel said that Carsador seems to be chaotic neutral. And I kind of see that. Whereas I think Arazeth is more chaotic good. She is willing to do horrendous things for the right reasons. So the two of them, I mean, it's chaos, but it's good chaos because they get shit done.
Yeah. When it comes to Agoreth, Carsador always had a healthy respect for him just because, oh, finally, someone else who ignores their emotions. Thank God. Okay. I can relate to this motherfucker. But it's funny mainly because of the reactions I always had when I witnessed it. But whenever you did the portal stuff around Carsador, he always felt just a little insecure because he's like, damn, all I can do is find the general location. He gets fucking specifics. And so he was just a little bit jealous the entire time you used that power.
No, I think for the two of them, it's that whole, it's the journey versus the destination. Carsador is 100% the journey, and Agoreth is just end result.
It's such a fucking useful power. Like, if I hadn't realized it at the time, I wouldn't have gone Pats. I would have hopped over to Fiends and gone Portals. Because Portals was, I think, what I imagined Pats would end up being. As it turns out, Pats is a very good radar.
It's very good when you're not going door to door. There are disadvantages to just door to door.
True, you do miss a lot in between. August, Bazazel. Someone said it before, but I'll say it again. Your possession scene. I felt so bad for the guy, and it's like, hey, standing up for his fan. That's awesome. Oh, fuck. Just
Now,
life hit you out of the blue in a painfully literal way.
when he got stabbed, did you think that was going to be the end for him?
No, because I remember someone saying something about a car, like getting hit by a car in like a Zoom chat at one point, and I was like, oh,
Might have
here
been in
it
cash
comes.
chat.
Or something like that. But no, the stabbing was like, oh, he's gonna die bleeding out. That's shitty. And honestly, Tremdeziel, I also very much enjoyed the scene with the ex-husband. It was visceral, but not in like a frightening way. It was just, look, here's the facts as I lay them out before you. Would you please quit groveling? God damn it, man, have some self-respect.
She changed a man and his beliefs, but in a divine way.
And it was just a great playoff of the 180 he did, and your attitude did not change at all towards him. You had the exact same reaction when he was insulting you to your face as you did when he was groveling on his fucking hands and knees. And it was amazing.
Kathleen did not like Marvin. And
he was a fuck.
so Tremdeziel does not like Marvin. There was a reason I did not try to thrall him.
Yeah.
Because I did not want to be attached to him in the next, as it were. So,
no, totally understand. He was my ex-husband. I would have fucking revelated him too, jackass. And Druliriel, this, I'm so glad no one else said this. It was very small. It was a tiny conversation that you and I had where Carsador got a little emotional and said, you're the only one of us who truly understands me. Because from his perspective, he still thinks about demons by house more than how they are individually. And malefactors and slayers both have a coldness towards humanity. For him, it's that he can't relate. They're like aliens to him. But for slayers, it's just, you're the shepherds. You can't get attached. But then he also noticed throughout all of it that you are still a very gentle representation of what death is.
Unlike Usiel.
Yeah, there's two types of slayers, and he wasn't exactly fallen, but There's two types of slayers.
He was.
Those that are cold and those that are warm.
He was fallen. He deludes himself. He was put into prison. No matter what he thinks, he fell. He wouldn't have been in the prison otherwise.
Why is he so powerful then?
Because he didn't lose all his powers from the Maker. He still fell.
Oh.
He wasn't struck by the hand of creation as in an act of rebellion, but morally he fell. And he was imprisoned with the rest of you. It's
Tough
just
shit.
the way it is. Mm-hmm. I do have one comment overall I want to say about this whole season. Great things about this season. The first season, they had a single mission.
Mm-hmm.
The whole season was focused on that single mission, and you did not get to see much of the conflict and the duality between being human and demon.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2, because they had two missions, and the way it was addressed and the pacing of it, they didn't have that looming specter over them the whole time where it's, we've got to stop the kidnappings, we've got to stop the Earthbound, that kind of thing. You saw a lot more exploration into what it means to be human and demon at the same time. This whole season had a lot more of that context of being pulled in two different directions about the human versus the demon side. And I love that. It was, the cast came together perfect without me doing it to show that duality, that how tough it can be to walk the line of both. Or in Virginia's case, she doesn't walk the line. And that's why it was a great for her to show she doesn't walk the line. But others are having to struggle. Clark a little less. But
So ignoring your humanity is not struggle,
Right.
is a struggle. It's
Right.
just not a
It's-
visible one.
each one showed a different aspect of trying to fight it. For Virginia, it's not trying to balance the demon and human side. It's trying for the demon to retain somewhat of the human side.
Or to temper the divine side just a bit.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit much for these humans.
Right. It's. I love that season 2 allowed that to be shown to the viewers, because season 1 I felt didn't do enough of that to show how tough it is to be both. Because it is. It's got to be difficult.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that everyone is able to showcase that. And yes, I do play Virginia or Arazeth differently, because I love that I had the opportunity this season to actually have a discussion about how Arazeth is in Virginia's body, that Virginia was pretty much gone when Arazeth got to her. You know, that there wasn't much left of her. And so that kind of explains why I took 4 dots in Legacy, because it was almost a shell, really.
That was my answer, Verdant Viper, to not a question you asked, but just a comment you made in chat about the fair amount of humanity you saw this season. I wanted to comment on that because
Arazeth honestly probably has the least of everyone at the table. Honestly. No, Karsador has humanity still, he just suppresses it.
But I think of all these fallen, in the war, Virginia did the most fucked up thing of all of them.
She did.
She was the most, I'm not going to say the most fallen of all of them, but she was the most corrupted from what an angel was of all of you during the war.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Nephilim were not created in a pleasant way to the humans.
No.
It involved rape, which is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It involved lack of consent. It was a forced experiment on humanity. So she was a real monster back then. What you're seeing now is tempered by Virginia.
Yeah.
As opposed to what she was in the war.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason Karsador was slightly afraid of her.
There's a reason many
are slightly afraid of her.
There is a deference that I've played to each of them because as the mother of the Nephilim, anyone who's not a Fell Knight or higher would have a bit of deference because of they're terrified.
Yeah. Because she worked directly for a duke.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, so TiVo246 asks, for the newer Fallen, but also for everyone, so I'm going to say that the people who are just joining us this season get to answer first. Did you make your characters starting with the human aspect or the demon aspect?
I like that question.
Personally, I started with the demon because I thought it would be, I guess I thought with the idea, like, I wanted to see a different type of demon, essentially on paper, maybe the same as another player, but how we can, especially because Shanky had mentioned the focus was going to be on the factions this season, how even though on paper we might look the same and in the same faction, how the character can still be vastly different from one another. So I started knowing I wanted to be a defiler, a Faustian defiler, but I would say most of the legwork of the character came with the human side. Like how I played the character definitely was more human than demon, despite the powers and abilities and whatnot. So while the idea started with the demon, the bulk of the character came when coming up with the human concept.
Your fucking reaction to the lightning fork bullshit was
Oh, fuck.
amazing. Because it was like you're a fallen. You know that there are powers that are beyond what humans can conceive, and you were still surprised and impressed by it. And it was just really
It was a big
great
fucking
duality.
lightning strike.
God, you got so lucky with that roll. The difficulty was 9, and it's just boom, 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 boom. I'm like, God damn it.
I know, it was crazy. I loved how you acted that out too. That was amazing.
I would say for me, yeah, it's very similar. Because we kind of already knew coming into it, who was coming in from season 1. We sort of knew what needed filling rather, to try and balance everything out, sort of showcase a little bit more of the different houses, but also play in some of that faction stuff. But then also, so like for Agareth, part of his character during the war worked with defilers. So for him, I think some of the more natural reactions for him to have outside of with Carsador, who again, like Maddox said, somebody else who could just dissociate from the emotional part of anything. For him, it was he was used to some degree working with defilers because that was part of his role in creation. So I think for him, um, different aspects came out during like creation, but everything started with um came with demon first. And then just because I had different ideas of what I wanted it to be, that then sort of morphed back and forth, you know, forming the character between the two. But yeah, it started with demon because once I figured out cryptic fiend and what I wanted to do with that, then I went with the space theme, which went into what the character was, which then came back to what the apocalyptic forms were.
I want to bring up something about the cast choices of this, especially with the new players. Remember, Len and I were figuring out the cast for the show for each season. We had figured out who made it through the audition process, who was going to be in the cast, and we started divvying out the seasons. We specifically picked both Brad and Dan here to be in the second season because it was going to be faction focused.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt that even before they had a character concept, that them as role players, that what we wanted to see this season, they would do without instruction.
Mm-hmm. And they did.
And you did. We've played with both of y'all enough that we knew
we know
what you would bring to the table and what you would bring to the season.
Yeah.
Involving the factions and dealing with the conflicts of the factions and the human versus demon side. We know what you're capable of, and that's why we had picked you all specifically for season 2.
Mm-hmm. That's why we picked everyone in season 2.
And when we were planning out to go to season 2, okay, who's coming back? We're going through, okay, this is the idea of it. Who is best for this season?
And we picked.
Yep.
And we had to bring Trimdeziel because she is the moral center of any fucking group of demons.
Yeah, without you, I'm sure at least one of us would have probably fallen into torment by now.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, this would have been a much much darker, worse for everybody season without Trim Test.
Just like
I thought you would have said shorter.
we deliberately, like Eve Eternal's character, we deliberately didn't bring her back season 2 because she would have been the only Luciferian in the story.
Yeah.
And trying to split it between 3 factions, I think, would have been
Would have been too much.
Based on what we knew the clans would be, we were pretty sure we wouldn't have any Luciferians other than her. But season 3, if you go to LA, odds are we'll have to bring her back.
Yeah.
Because that's when the Luciferians are that story's going to come
dominant
into the front, not some of the others. There's a lot of behind the scenes planning that y'all don't understand. We give a lot of thought into these cast picks, especially when you have an ensemble cast like we have with Demon, which is we picked 9 different people to be in as many seasons as we need. Got to give a lot of thought to who's, and the table makeup, who can play off against who.
All right. So just to remind everyone, for the ones who came back from season 1, the question from TiVo was, did you make your characters starting with the human aspect or the demon aspect? I'll go ahead and answer for myself because my answer may be a little different from everyone. I did consider the human aspect first. I thought about, because once I figured out like what house I was going to play and what faction I would play, which was already kind of unique because most Scourges do not fall into the Faustians. Most of them do not. They fall into other factions. I was like, I want to play, off trope a little bit with this character. So I went with a Scourge that was a Faustian. But once I figured out that, I didn't even figure out what Arazeth did or who she was or even what her stuff would be until I figured out what kind of human would a Scourge take. And I planned out Virginia. And it was a little bit of self-insert. A little bit. I did a brief stint as a hospice nurse at one point, at 2 points in my career, actually. And both times I left because it just was not right for me. And it's not that the specialty wasn't right, it's that the management wasn't right. So I left. And there was a part of me that from the time I went to nursing school, I really wanted to be a hospice nurse. And I was really good at being a hospice nurse the 2 times I've done it. But it just didn't work out for me. So I kind of explored that a little bit in this person that a Scourge would have picked. That could have easily have been a Slayer character, being a hospice nurse. But I decided it would be a Scourge, that this nurse was a hospice nurse, but she hated her job. She took it because the hours were better because she was widowed and had to take care of her kids. And it basically pigeonholed her. She kept applying to jobs and never could get anywhere else to do something else. So she was stuck being a hospice nurse, which getting pigeonholed in nursing specialties happens. So, I kind of built this whole person that was just going to die. And created this really tragic story for her. But there was the issue of she was a mother. What is she going to do about her kids if she dies? And that's where my concept for Arazeth came in. And then it fell into place that she would be the mother of the fallen, the mother of the Nephilim, who had her children murdered, and she has always been angry about that, and she wants a second chance. So that's how Arazeth came to be.
I can answer this one real quick too. Demon. Started with the demon. Specifically, when I was still playing season 1 of Werewolf. In between episodes, I was reading through the demon book because there was rumors and talks back then about a demon gang being brought up, and
that was like a year I talked about it before we even did a casting call.
And I was looking through, and I stumbled on Lore of Paths and just hyper focused on it for the next hour. And I was like, if I ever play demon, I gotta be a malefactor so I can use this shit. This is awesome. And somehow I was amazed no one else picked malefactor when season 1 casting came up. I was stunned and so elated that I got to actually be the character I wanted first pick. And then I just decided, all right, I also don't have a lot of emotional bandwidth because I don't know how taxing demon is going to be. So let's play someone emotionally stunted.
So, real quick to touch on that, because that actually brings up an interesting point. If it wasn't for Maddox being a malefactor, that was the first thing that had jumped out to me when I was looking at it. But then went for Cryptic Fiend after, because to fill in the holes, like I said earlier. But yeah, malefactor was on my list.
I would have happily welcomed another
Though-
brethren of the earth into the fold.
I had no requirements. You had to be different houses because when
No, but I'm glad that you did pick a fiend because the portals were very fucking handy.
because when Dan
Yes.
brought it up, when House down there brought it up, he said, "Do you have an issue if I also want to be a defiler?" I said, "No, I have no issue with it because some games it's hard when you have duplicates to make them distinctly different from the other. But demon seems, because of your primary lore being such an important thing, it really seems to lend itself to you can have multiples in the same group and have a character that feels truly different."
Well, and I think part of it for me was also in that in between season 1, season 2, when Dan and I were kind of figuring out like what we were going to do. For me, it was knowing that there was supposed to be a little bit more of a whodunit investigation sort of part of the second season, that I wanted a character that was more towards that. And so for me, a lot of it was filling in holes. So it was a little more balanced rather than trying to double up on something. So for me, it was picking stuff that I felt would do better for the story as a whole than my own personal, like, oh, I really want to do this, because I thought it would it would work out. And yeah, turns out Portals is real fucking handy.
I'll comment on that when everyone's done about the whodunit part of this season. After everyone's done, I got to comment on that.
I'd like to make a quick comment on that, actually, Brad. I also enjoyed that you still managed to play detached from humanity the way a malefactor kind of would be, but you did it detached because you're off the planet versus my detached where I'm buried under the earth. And so the personality shone through differently because of that, because you reacted to humans differently than I did.
So, Morgan, did you go with the demon first or the person first?
So a lot of times so like with this one, I did not have any good grasp or ideas for demon characters, so I made a human first.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a general idea of kind of like what was supposed to be going on ish in season 1 because of like the whole like investigative element. So I was trying to make sure that I made a character that was at least semi-useful in some degree in that way, either it be talk to people or having connections somewhere or something, so that I wasn't just being like, hey guys, I'm here.
Yeah.
The demon was, I don't want to say the demon was an afterthought, but a lot of like, even when I was building the character sheet at character creation, a lot of my focus of ideas and things was more towards the human aspect, like the glasses and things like that, than it was the demon aspect. And so then I really liked kind of what I came up with for the demon while I was doing character creation, and sort of afterwards of kind of working on it a little bit. There's a reason the demon character is actually grown, and that's because I didn't start with the demon, and so the character has kind of been like fleshing out as we go along instead of having like a set static, this is who this character is. So
Yep. And I've loved to see that. I have loved to have seen that progress so far. And I can see it continuing in future seasons as well, because you're still kind of feeling out, even in character, how Trimdeziel takes up the space of Kathleen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch.
Oh yeah. It's funny because I originally props to Shanky, he let me change it. I originally started as like towards Lore of Longing, but it just did not feel like the character. And I found that especially as season one finished and we went into the in between between season 1 and 2, I was just like, this character does not feel like a Lore of Longing. It feels like it should be a Lore of Longing character, but it does not actually feel like a Lore of Longing character. And so he let me switch it over to Transfiguration, I think is what it's called. So
also known as Lore of Useful. God damn
Yeah,
it.
they're really useful. Holy crap. But no, that's really cool. And Drulariel, was that your primary one you wanted to focus on in character creation, or did you want to come up with Mars first?
It's actually a bit of a combination. So I picked my house first, and I picked my faction and stuff. And I'm a bit of a music dork, and I knew that it was going to be like 90s, and so Slayer. And it just,
oh my god, I see what you did there.
Something
God
about
damn
it
it.
just went. I read Slayer and I went 90s Slayer.
Rain
Holy
and Blood.
fuck, music. Oh my god, right? So it was like, so it kind of like snowballed from there. And then the more that I talked to like the rest of the cast about it and stuff, and it was just kind of like, yeah, no, I really like this. And like the whole like how she died and stuff was actually, it's actually something similar. Something very, very similar happened to me. I've kind of talked about it before, but so that I didn't actually like die in the bathtub or anything, but I fell asleep in the bathtub and I was awoken from a voice in my head saying it's not your time yet. And yeah, so that was pretty freaky. But definitely the whole like it was kind of like a combo where I picked the demon and then Slayer, and I was like, oh, music, I want to incorporate music somehow, but I didn't want the demon to be musical, but so I was like, okay, so let's make the human musical, and yeah, so
Awesome.
I have to comment though on what he said. The original plan for this season was only to focus on the overall arc of Faustians up to no good and the cryptics. That tie-in of how the cryptics are helping, but not officially, but kind of helping, that kind of a thing. The Rosemary thing that got introduced to the season, that was a last-minute addition that I'd actually seen a note about that in the Storyteller's Companion talking about the various factions of the Fallen. And it had one little blurb about that. And I was like, I like that aspect to the story. I'm going to put that in there. That got added literally right before our very episode 2, our first recording, is when I started thinking of that whole storyline. That's how it got added to the season, because otherwise it wouldn't have been there at all. It would have just been the other part of it, a lot more drawn out. But I think it actually worked better to have two different things. The first half we focused on this, second half we focused on this. It made it a little less stress on the players in some ways and a little better story. I just wanted to say that if you mentioned about the mystery part, half of the season was a whim basically for me to make that part of the story.
So Astral asks, how are the choir feeling about their dealings with the Faustians and the institute that he has forgotten the name of? So don't worry, we've all forgotten the fucking name of it.
Enlightenment Enterprises. Come on.
Oh, right. The thing they don't provide.
Yeah.
To be fair, I have it written down on a note. I just don't have my notes pulled up.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, the Oedipus. Yeah,
Oedipus.
Yeah, Project Oedipus, motherfucker.
I love hearing Wraith references. So fun.
That was the best reference ever.
I'll be first on this.
They're Project Oedipus because they're motherfuckers.
Damn straight. I'll be first on this one just because it's an easy question for me to answer. At first, Carcero was beating his head against a wall. These fucking Faustians don't know how to fucking run their shit. And then after a while, it just turned into his usual apathy of, oh, cool. All right, well, one faction we don't have to worry about. He's not saying that to the Faustians around him, but...
The Faustians are saying the same about the cryptics.
It's funny.
Oh, I'll tell you 100% how Agrath feels about it. Fuck if I care.
Wow, the two cryptics are so apathetic.
Yes.
They're cryptics.
They're cryptics, of course they are.
If they weren't apathetic, guess what? They'd have been probably something other than cryptic, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You'd probably been
It's like
Faustian.
literally, it's like, I think especially as the season's gone on, is, there's a lot of, okay, well, how do we deal with humanity? And Agareth could care less. Like, they're a means to an end. And so for him, it's not like he only cares because of how it affects the people in the choir, and like helping them. But as far as like a personal goal, he doesn't care. Like, it's not on his radar. It's like that phrase go, you only got so many spoons in a day, and this ain't one of them.
Now we're going to hear from the Faustians on how they feel about it.
I will say that Arazeth feels like Cinny has more ambition than fucking sense. Literally, she sees the glaring flaws in this whole fucking setup. So yeah, it's she's glad that basically her and Trimdeziel are going to be able to have a run of the place because shit's going to shape up real fucking quick. But yeah, because definitely, and Cinny's ambition don't mean she's competent either. She's going all over the world putting out fires, so obviously she's not able to delegate appropriately either. Yeah, so really not impressed is Arazeth's opinion.
Okay, bottom row Faustians.
I think for August, coming in here, like, he was very resistant to kind of doing the demon thing. Like, he was so enthralled by humanity, and I think before the fall, he just kind of wanted to be a positive force. And I think in a lot of instances, we've all been lied to. And now, when within this faction that's supposed to be protective of humanity is being pulled in different ways, it caused a lot of internal confusion and torment. So in the end, the only people he really trusted were the people in the choir.
Even the factions are tainted by the torment from the abyss. Even the reconcilers, their plan to reconcile may not be as good as they think it is. And it sure as hell isn't as noble as they think it is. They don't consider humanity's impact or what humanity feels about reconciling with the Maker. They don't care. They just want to reconcile.
We will redeem ourselves, whatever the cost, is not a good stance.
No.
It is a stance.
And we don't care if you want to be redeemed. We don't care. We're going to redeem reality. The torment's touched you all in some ways, all the factions. The Raveners are at least the most honest about it.
Yeah, but they go about it like assholes.
Yes, they do.
Stop derailing. Stop derailing. Let the others answer.
Since this is obviously a train, I was going to say Core can go because I'll be the caboose.
Choo-choo.
Well, I don't think Drew Lyriel really has much opinion. Like, I think she's still going to be a little wary of it now, just because they essentially let that happen under their noses.
Mm-hmm.
So someone somewhere has not been dealt with yet because something was being hidden by the upper people, right? So either there's somebody on like in the higher level that is hiding it, that was hiding it all, that we haven't come across yet. Because I highly doubt, Julia Real highly doubts that it was just those 3 people. And now that other malefactor is gone, so we still don't have answers, right? So it's definitely something where she's just like, she's still a little sus about the Enlightenment Enterprises, and there's still more to be seen from that, but what can I do now, kind of thing. So, and then as far as like being a Faustian, I don't think she ever really like, I think that was just something that was a tie over, because really questioning, she still believes that there is, we should be helping them and like helping them fulfill their happiness and their life and their cycle, their life cycle, if you will. But there's no real tie to being a Faustian, if that makes sense.
That was just the faction that best fit. Yeah.
Uh,
That's kind of the way it is with Arazeth, too.
Just because you're Faustian doesn't mean you 100% believe everything, they're based in.
Kathleen is unimpressed with the Faustians and what they did with Enlightenment Enterprises. She was always already just trying to help people, and she's going to continue just trying to help people. That aligns with the Faustian ideals, which is why she's a Faustian. She doesn't need the like Faustian hierarchy to do what she's doing. She was doing it before they said, hey, we set up shop here, and she'll be doing it after they've set up shop there. So she doesn't really care. She cares only in so much as the fact that like there's potential for something shady going on, and something shady already did go on. And she wants there to be actual solutions instead of it being a faith mill like what Cineval wants.
Mm-hmm.
So, because she that's her big thing. She's not going to sit there and be like, I'm going to dismantle the system, but she's actually going to try and help these people so that they can, because her ideal in the Faustian mindset is to help the people so they can stand on their own feet instead of basically having to use her as a crutch.
Right. You touched on something right there, though. It is a faith mill.
Uh-huh.
Cineval is lying to herself when she claims what they're doing is not a faith mill, but what the bad Faustians were doing was.
Oh, it is.
But they're both doing the same thing. They may be doing it different ways, but they're both doing faith mill harvesting of humanity.
Mm-hmm. And Arazeth and Trimdeziel are going to be in there changing that shit.
You touched on that right there. Cineval doesn't believe what she's doing. She believes what she's doing is better than what the others were doing, but they're both doing faith mills.
She feels morally superior.
Yes. Does the end justify the means? I mean, obviously both of them thinks it did.
Yep. All right. So KoFi asks, since all of you have played several splats, how does Demon rate on the emotional intensity scale for each of you compared to the other splats?
Child's Play compared to Wraith.
Amen.
I knew that the Wraith players would say that.
As much as I love playing Wraith, this was that light. I mean, just there's that duality, but with this, you at least have control of that other half, the demon versus humanity. Whereas in Wraith, you have someone else completely in control of torturing you. Essentially, you are dead, and you can't do anything about it for the most part. And to see how that impact loved ones, Child's Play compared to Wraith emotionally.
For me, I will say that this Demon I find is much easier for me emotionally. Sure, there's some intense scenes, but because I am playing a supernatural creature that is so far fucking removed from human. This isn't a werewolf that is part human, part something else. This isn't a mage that is a human with extra shit. This isn't a vampire that was a human and turned into what they are. This isn't a wraith that was human and then became a ghost. This is a divine being in a human shell. that is so far removed from being human that I find I detach from that real easy after playing it. Because it's not human.
Sorry, I was making sure you were done. So I find that none of these games are necessarily emotionally taxing on me. I have spent my entire life pretending to be other people, to myself and to others. So if I get into a character, I just boop, and then when I get out of the character, boop. And so I would argue for me, definitely, Vampire is probably slightly more emotional, but it's not even really a blip on the radar. Mage was not, because Mage was really mostly just like, do I want a paradox or do I not want a paradox? To paradox or not to paradox? That is the question. And the answer is always to paradox. With Demon, it is with Demon, it was kind of the same as Mage in a lot of sense. The only difference is it was like, are people going to flee in like a 10-mile radius just randomly, or do I care?
Right. And most of the time, we just don't give a shit.
Yeah. And even then, most of my stuff doesn't necessarily impact. So it was one of those things where it's just like, do I choose to do it or not choose to do it? So I would argue that to me, none of these games, none of the World of Darkness games I've played, none of the other RP games I've played have ever been emotionally taxing. But this was not even a blip on the radar for me. Vampire at times has been sort of not, but like Demon is not, because Demon is just like, I am a literal god. I mean, splinter of God or something. So yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing, is I find that this one is just fun. Because there is, I'm not going to say there's no consequences. There's always consequences in any game that Shanky runs. But I will say that the consequences are not as severe in Demon. They really aren't. Because, yeah, your host body could get destroyed. But if you're near your freaking thralls, you can just hop bodies, you know? But it's like it's a bit of a power game. Because they are OP, and you're getting to just have fun playing something really fucking powerful.
It's broken in a fun way.
Yeah.
It is. I'm going to answer it too, but I'm going to go last so everyone can finish.
Demon, about a 5 if we're doing number measurement for me. I'll be totally frank, actually, KoFi. I haven't played tabletop versions of a lot of the splats. I got my start in Vampire and LARP, which is a different system with different rules and different attitudes for how people play it, versus like sitting down and doing like a personal crafted story where you can speak directly to the person running the game and say, hey, can we tackle these themes with my character and stuff? So I don't genuinely know how most of the splats are emotionally for me because I haven't actually played in them. I know that Mage is, well, okay. I played Demon first and then went to Mage and back to Demon, and I realized why I played Mage the way I did. It's because Demon was a power trip that I didn't deserve. And then I forgot that Mage doesn't work the same way. So
no, it doesn't. So paradox.
Because Maddox loves having powers in games and will use them often. Yes. Unfortunately, with Mage, if you use your powers too often, it fucks you.
Let's be fair. In Mage, Maddox liked to use entropy, not powers.
Yeah,
entropy.
Powers. All the powers in every power sphere I had turned into entropy, so it worked.
And Demon, half the things you do don't even take faith.
No.
And that's the kicker. Demon truly cannot tax me emotionally because I'm too powerful.
Right.
I am a gamer at heart. I know it. It's embarrassing at times because sometimes I like the story, but damn it, being strong and amazing is fun.
Yes, it is. I mean, I wielded 2 hammers that were flaming.
I literally stopped people from escaping the compound because I just said the paths don't go out of it. I shouldn't be allowed to do that level of damage to a setting.
But you play with creation itself.
I know.
So I can't be too emotionally taxed by something that makes me feel strong.
I can go next. I would put this, for a lot of what everyone else has said, towards the bottom. In terms of taxing, most taxing, I think for me was Werewolf, just because it was like there were times between like anger and sadness that hit me in that game, like in role playing, and yeah, this is just too OP. I think I was more emotionally taxed watching Wraith than I've been in this game. Um, Also because Agareth isn't an emotional person. So in this game, I have no emotional attachment to just about anything because fuck it. Um, but yeah, that's just the character, and this is fun. Um, yeah, I think for Agareth, like, I take that back. I think that, and I'll save it because it actually tackles a later question. Um, yeah, for the most part, yeah, Wraith was harder to watch than this was to play emotionally.
And now we're waiting for Julirial's take.
Well, this is the first game that I've been on long term for y'all, but I have played Vampire as well. Honestly, emotionally wise, I guess it's easy for me to kind of slip into a character and not get overwhelmed, like just become that character, I guess. But on emotional scale, probably Vampire compared to Demon, but that actually no, because even being, I definitely feel more powerful in Demon, like just the ease of which I was shocked that I was able to just get from one side of the room to the other and just decay this person's head like it was absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Compared to in Vampire, which would have been like 6-7 rolls to get that far, right? And so power-wise, Demon is definitely more powerful, but maybe because my character is also higher in humanity, I have like been more emotionally affected from playing Demon than I was playing Vampire. So.
As
that makes sense.
For me as storyteller, I've made no secret of this. Wraith is by far the hardest game I have ever run, both on an emotional level and on a technical level. There's a reason we could only do 2 seasons. Wraith broke me as a storyteller mentally. I could not do another season. The level of effort and the emotional toll of Wraith, I had to pull the plug when I did. And I said that during the final cast Q&A of Wraith. Demon for me, it's a lot of fun. I know that the power level in Demon is such that either a threat is going to murder them all at once,
right,
or they're going to murder whatever opposes them.
Right.
It's because it's
so
unbalanced.
Yeah.
There's no real fine line between balance and or credible threat and you're all fucked.
Overwhelming threat.
Yeah,
right.
There's not. And I enjoy that the players get a chance to really flex and without the consequences. So Demon is very low on my list for the emotional toll. Vampire takes a bigger emotional toll, to be honest, because the Vampire games that I run, even when you win, you don't win.
Right. What's the cost?
I mean, look at our season finale. Yeah. Even when you win, you don't fucking win.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can run a Vampire game where you truly win.
Right. The players can have what they sense are wins.
There's victories.
But there's always going to be a cost.
Yeah, there's victories. But have you won?
Right.
The cost you spend on the way. Vampire. Right. So Vampire to me is a lot more emotional than Demon is. But by far, Wraith is the hardest mentally and technically to run of a World of Darkness that I've done so far. And there's a reason Wraith ended when it did.
Yeah, I concur with both Shanky and House here that has been in Demon with me. I mean, I even played House's character Shadow.
You mean Wraith?
I mean, yeah, that Demon, Wraith. That I even played his shadow. That was really hard. It was just hard. And then also, you're playing a creature, a being of pure emotion. So you're having to bring up, at least for me, I know some people can turn shit on and turn shit off. I can't. If I have to muster up an emotional scene or an emotional response to something, I am having to pull up things that I have personally experienced to be able to convey those emotions. And having to do that so much on the regular in that game exhausted the shit out of me.
And with Demon, as storyteller, with Wraith as storyteller, I had to look at the emotions of the characters being played and brutalize them.
Yeah.
Based on the emotions they had, both their shadows and their psyches, ties, their binds through emotion, I had to attack those because that's the story. Demon, I don't have to do that.
Right.
Sure, I do angle at certain parts of your backstory and, that whole being a demon to human. Wraith, I had to specifically target and attack those areas. If your character had a high attachment to your family, I had to make you watch your family suffer. Because that's the story of Wraith. That's why it makes it so hard emotionally. So yeah, KoFi, this was nothing compared to this is fun. This is a lot of fun.
I'll add a quick footnote. Werewolf emotionally taxed me more because Werewolf, I feel genuinely more helpless.
That is true.
Which is fucked up for how powerful werewolves are, but like I cried in the first season. Just because it's a feeling of overwhelming hopelessness. We can't win against what we're up against.
That is the only World of Darkness splat I have played where my player character has been really fucking close to dying.
Like, so speaking to that, like Werewolf, for me, it was like the face-to-face, like fucking throwdown that almost happened between me and Ravnos's character.
Yeah.
It
gets intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets intense. Werewolf gets real fucking intense.
I don't run or play it. So.
No, but I will say that currently, now, when I was first starting out and the only thing I'd played Vampire, Vampire took me for a fucking ringer in emotions. But I became a better role player over time and experience with multiple splats. And I began to be able to detach and separate a little bit better at the end of a session and decompress easier. So, but I will say Werewolf, man, that one sticks with you. It really does, because the intensity, the way Ravinia runs it, there's a high level of intensity with things in her game. And it's not constant, but it is a very intense game. And it's high stakes and high pressure. And it's really just, that one sticks with you.
One last footnote before we go to the next question. Yeah. When I finally get to run Promethean, I think it is going to be it'll be between the Vampire and Wraith in terms of emotional
cool
for story, because Promethean, you are alone.
Yeah.
I mean, you have fellow created, but by nature, you will always be alone from humanity because you're created and you don't have humanity in you. So you're always going to feel that spark of aloneness. So it's going to be a little more emotionally taxing. It still won't match Wraith. I'm sorry.
No, nothing will.
Touch Wraith, but it's going to be a little bit more.
Wraith damn near traumatized me.
It's going to be a little more emotional. So if you want some darker emotion, the fighting against the feeling of aloneness, that'll be my Promethean. Yeah,
that's going to be interesting. And
I do plan to run it because I don't see people running it that often, and I want to tell a story.
It's amazing. You get to be a Frankenstein type thing, but it doesn't always have to just be like actual literal Frankenstein.
Oh,
I also want to play Mummy because that's basically timey-wimey Doctor Who time travel bullshit in World of Darkness. That's going to be fun.
I just love the concept of the older you get, the weaker you get. That's always fucking hilarious to me.
Awesome. It's like inverse.
That's rare.
Yeah. All right. So House here did ask in chat, what was the most challenging moment of the season for each of you?
I'll answer that one first because it goes back to I I think for me, it was having the sort of heart to heart with Aramil, or the prophet. And I think for a lot of that, it's because, well, one, playing a character that is rather emotionless, trying to have an effectively emotional conversation with his leader. And but I also think that as somebody who has struggled um very, very strongly and personally with anxiety my entire life, um having that conversation that I know I've had with myself probably a million times with another character, but still trying to do it rather emotionless, I think was the toughest thing for me this season, just because that it was a very personal conversation. Um, yeah.
I'll go next because my answer might surprise some folks. Um, One of the toughest scenes for me was actually in the final session. It was the dinner scene at Virginia's house. Because during that conversation that touched on a variety of things, Virginia was rather vulnerable at a point. She openly admitted that sometimes she can't control herself and that it scares her. That sometimes what she's capable of scares her because it may harm people, as it did at the compound. She really did not want to kill that guard. So that was hard for me to play with that character because up till that point, I had played her as very guarded. She's the caregiver. She puts herself last. That is her nature. She cares for everyone else, considers herself last. So that's going to lead into her story changing a little bit over time as she begins to recognize that she needs to be vulnerable, that she needs to be open and truly honest. Not just not able to lie, but actually be honest about how she feels and how she struggles, because she's not going to be able to do what she needs to do alone. So that was it was challenging for me as a role player, switching those gears on her, but it turned out great.
I have two, technically, but I count it as the same scene. Shanky knocked Carsador for a loop when he first met the priest. And then for the rest of the season, personally, if Carsador felt like he had everything in hand, he was like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, we know how to deal with this. All right, nothing's going wrong. And then get to the priest again, and suddenly I'm off my game. And Maddox doesn't like arguing with people. It's truly the most frustrating thing. I do believe I need to help people understand that arguing isn't always fun, and I don't get the people who think it is. But having to argue and going into an argument, of course, I hit it so poorly that I was getting out of character frustrated with this fucking dense motherfucker, and who just wouldn't listen.
Makes it worse because he acknowledges that he understands the maker is gone.
Yeah.
Because he kept saying
still has faith in him.
The maker will come back is what he keeps saying. He kept telling you that.
Yeah, and it was that stubbornness that forced me to be petty and knock over the bowl of holy water. There, now it's desecrated. Go get some new water, you fucking...
If you could sway him that easy, it wouldn't have been faith. He wouldn't have had faith.
But it was just, the priest is the only time that I was ever like shaky in my approach to something this season for me. And so it took a lot more effort on my role-playing side.
To still have faith in the World of Darkness in the demon game. You're not going to shake those people very easy because look at what they've seen every day and they still have faith.
Dogma's a bitch.
Mm-hmm. Who's next?
I don't know. Honestly, I was gonna say I didn't really feel like there was any scenes I had like trouble with, in the sense like what Dan or August is talking about. It was more of, I a lot of times struggle if there's like a group scene and I feel like my character doesn't bring anything to the table, of trying to make it so that I'm not just spending an entire like half of a session sitting there with my thumb at my ass. And so a lot of times I will try to find some way of being able to interact or do something useful. And in Demon, and this is actually kind of my own problem. So like in Vampire, I rarely use powers. I know that doesn't seem likely, but I rarely use powers. In Mage, I didn't really use powers until the halfway point of season 2. And so in Demon season 1, I didn't use powers. I was trying to use my powers more. So I kept trying to come up with ways I could use my powers to help my character be part of a scene, which was its own like struggle. I know that's different from like did you struggle with the scene because you were, interacting with
No, but that's legitimate.
I had no particular inclination. Like, so no, that
I just, for me, I honestly, like, I will go into every time I sit down and I role play, I give it my all.
Mm-hmm.
And I will decide, and at the end of the session, I decide, I think I'll talk to kind of work through what I did and be like, did I do enough? Did I do too little? Did I do too much? Did I actually like be part of the game, as it were? And that's why a lot of times I always said I didn't feel like I did anything this session, because there was a lot of times where it's just like, sure, I know I went over and I told Becca that, that like, I went and told Becky that we had to run, which I know is important because Arazeth can't lie, but it
was so important.
But I know it's important, but it's one of those things where it's like, if I spend 2 hours and all I do is tell somebody a white lie, like that doesn't feel super important.
I get you, but no, it really is when you have another cohort that can't fucking lie.
So like for me, a lot of times it's not that I'm struggling with like interactions with characters. It's more of like I'm struggling to make my character useful to the table.
Integrated.
I mean, technically you could have tried to lie. It's just massive penalties and everyone can tell you're trying.
Everyone knows she's lying.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not going to do that. No.
Oh, so that was kind of why I was trying. Every time we'd come up with a situation, I have my cheat sheet of my powers. I'd sit there and I was like, can I use my powers here? If I can, how are they going to be useful for something? Which is why I was like crutching on Doppelganger for the first half of the season, because it's just like, I can use Doppelganger, everybody. Let me use it, and it's kind of like in the first season where I kept constantly doing shit like making my character shorter or giving her the Popeye arm and then being like, oh, I don't need this, and putting it back down.
I like that you didn't rely on the trope of Doppelganger, of the easy thing to do with Doppelganger. Just make yourself insanely fucking hot.
Yeah.
So that everyone notices you and everyone pays attention to you. I appreciate
Doppelganger doesn't work like that.
Or using the one where you change your body, your shape change.
Transfiguration, the fifth power,
Yeah, not relying on that. Because the trope, the easy thing to do is, I'll just make myself insanely hot all the time. Which is what Cineval was doing at the end.
Right.
But you're like, I don't rely on that. That's not my way. And I like that you didn't do that.
I felt like if Kathleen was going to transfigurate herself into somebody else, it would be one of those situations where she's going to pretend like she got killed and she's going to you're never going to see Kathleen again because she's going to look like somebody else forever.
But I like that you didn't rely on that, because that is the defiler trope. I just make myself insanely hot. Male or female, I make myself insanely hot because gender doesn't matter.
How sexy.
Yeah, just sexy.
I hate that their house logo is a pair of handcuffs.
Yeah.
Because if you read through the actual like backstory of the Defilers, they aren't a bunch of fucking sex addicts.
No.
There's like 2 or 3 of them that are, and then the fact that like White Wolf had to be edgy and they made them into that.
Yeah.
But like the reality is the Defilers give a fuck.
They were the muses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they were the muses.
Mm-hmm.
So I apologize for my really long answer to that question.
No, that was a great answer,
but
though.
yeah.
I mean, shit, we had a more promiscuous fucking devil in
Yes!
season 1 than we
God.
ever did a Defiler,
She was,
God.
yeah. Call me.
no
which
offe-
honestly
no
makes
offense,
sense.
No offense, but Kathleen was just shaking her head the whole time.
Yeah.
Carsador didn't-
Arizeth kind of was too.
Carsador couldn't understand why have sex for anything other than procreation. He was very lost.
It's actually kind of funny because Michelle, I really haven't had that much of a chance to show it yet, but Michelle actually has both lustful and smooth as characteristics.
Yet
Yeah.
you resisted the offer.
Well, that's because I rolled a decent roll, apparently.
At the
So,
start of the season, you resisted the offer if she was going to try to hook back up with you, and you resisted it, which was great the way you did it. But
Mm-hmm. So, what was a challenging scene for you to play, Corey?
actually, I wouldn't even say that maybe challenging in like a difficult scene, but I think the one that definitely threw me was the first time Uziel came onto the scene. And just this is like out of nowhere, just boom, I won my like, you know what I mean? And it was just like, you're a slayer? What the fuck? Like, yeah. It was almost like a jealousy.
Yeah.
A weird jealousy in a way. Like
you bastard, you're more powerful than me.
Like, excuse you? You have the audacity to be powerful. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I'm the Grim Reaper, and then there's this jackass.
and
who actually has a fucking sight.
I know, right?
that cuts a hole into the shroud.
That's not fair.
We literally shape creation, and we're bitching about how someone's got a bigger toy than us. Jesus.
Yes, it's toy envy.
Well, and it's funny because that's not even Drew Lyrial, right? Like that's not even
you as the player.
Or that was just like
what the fuck? I want that.
So I had to kind of reel it back, and I'm like, no, it's okay. Like you don't need a scythe. It's okay.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Would it make you feel any better if you knew that when Uziel met with Lucifer, Lucifer made him basically was like a baby in his hands? Uziel pulled out the big scythe,
You know what?
and Lucifer looked at it and smiled and just pointed at it, and it was a ring again, and he couldn't pull his scythe back out. Just that easy. Just like, what? You can do nothing. You're nothing. Make you feel better? He literally
made him his bitch.
Yeah.
The Morning Star manhandling someone. What a fucking shock.
You're going to listen to what I have to say. You have no choice because I'm not going to let you have a choice.
All right. So, House, what is the most challenging scene for your character?
I think before getting in the scene, I think the biggest challenge was coming in as one of two newbies.
Yeah.
So the four of you had experience playing the game together, had established powers, relationships, and whatnot. So like coming into that dynamic, despite having played with, I think really just you, Mom, I believe.
Yeah.
At least in longer games, not one shots.
Hey, that's not true. They're Big Bill.
I said not one shot.
Not one shot.
Not one shot. Not one shot.
I just had to bring it up because this isn't 6 inches.
That game
was hilarious. Unfortunately, it's not on YouTube.
No, you're good. You're good. So I think just the initial challenge as a player was coming in and having a disadvantage of not playing right.
Yeah.
So like
being
I said,
new to the dynamic. Yeah.
Right. So that's part of the reason I made August the way it was. Like,
oh, it was perfect.
Okay, if I'm going to be confused, August is going to be confused. So part of the reason I made him that way. As far as the scene goes, probably that last session, it wasn't so challenging having the conversation with August's wife, but more just as a player realizing it needs to happen.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like, it's kind of like with my scene where I was being very honest and vulnerable with Arizeth. It was, it was challenging because it needed to happen and it was a different thing. Yeah.
Because Bazazel knows August had a very honest, open relationship with his wife, and he couldn't 100% live up to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was probably the most challenging role play bit there.
Awesome. All right, Verder's
Wait a minute.
Viper. Oh,
I got my answer
that's
to that.
right.
Hardest
Okay.
one for me. Hardest scenes for me is whenever I'm playing one of the opposing Fallen, any of the Fallen. Remembering that they're all flawed. I have to play them as all flawed. None of them, they all have a problem in their past, some sort of guilt or something they're bearing with them that prevents them from being gods. So for Aramel, it's the guilt. He's racked with guilt over the choices he made. For Cook, he's got the arrogance, but he was also a coward.
Mm-hmm.
His first instinct when threatened was
Was
flee.
to run.
The Devourer, his fighting wasn't smart. He was a devourer.
He was just aggressive.
His first instinct was to be a beast, to be a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Bitch hucked seeds at us.
Yeah.
Like it was effective, but come on.
Yeah. So the hardest part for me in any scene was actually trying to keep them flawed in some way so that they're not just, I'm more powerful, I can do fucked up shit and fuck up the world. No, they're all in some way have a flaw.
Mm-hmm.
Even the malefactor, you'll notice he skipped town rather than face you.
Yeah, he's a coward too.
All that talk he did when he called out Carsador in his head, but
Hell, he flipped off Arizeth, but then went into the fucking ground
Right.
and ran away.
you got trying to play them as flawed is very difficult for me because I have an ego and I admit it. It's very tough to play that sometimes, to try to show them all as not, even if you know they're not all powerful, but to show them as deeply flawed creatures somehow.
It's a bitch and a half when you have to play something that used to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. One of the hardest ones was being Aramel,
Yeah,
and playing that guilt.
Guilt. That's tough.
That the whole rebellion, everything lies on his shoulders, and he
Mhm.
feels if it weren't for him, none of this would happen.
That is very tough to role play.
If it helps, Carsador has a lot of respect for him.
So Verderous Viper asks, what is each character's hardest struggle with their own humanity or lack thereof?
I mean, I can start.
Go ahead.
I think it kind of touched on, I think it kind of goes back to that conversation Azazel had with Drillerial, is that once he got a human body and human memories, like he kind of wanted to be human. Like he liked it. He was
It
so
was a brand new
fascinated.
experience. Yeah.
Right. And he always had an affinity for humanity. So to have a chance to live it out was thrilling. I mean, enough that he considered kind of what he was tasked to do, kind of, let's just put that over here for a little bit. And then when he saw how humans were being threatened, even within his own faction, like that was probably the biggest struggle for him, is the quandary between like, but I can do all this stuff myself versus, okay, this might not have been who I was pre-fault being a fallen, but I kind of have a responsibility now.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Why don't we let the bottom row go first this time? Because the top row has been very proactive. No, it's nothing wrong with that.
Wrinkle the nose at her. Get it.
Corey, you go next.
I was going to say, I've been trying to get Core to go so she's not always last.
Yeah,
That's why I've been
Corey, you
putting
go
her off.
next.
No good deed goes unpunished.
You've been
mind-
voluntold.
So I was kind of thinking about it. So I think I don't know really. So Delirial, I think one of the things that have kind of continued that's ongoing that's only come up a couple of times is she's still heavily questioning why she felt like we've kind of talked about it, and I think I have an idea why, but it obviously because all of them had to fall, but it was just like she's still trying to grasp that concept, and the humanity hasn't really made it easier to let that go because that it's still this like I don't want to say not quite a grudge, but just this like nagging feeling, like seeing all of these other demons and the reason why they fell, and just not able to fully grasp the concept of why she fell, if that makes sense.
I have a theory. I have a theory. It was Usiel's fault. Because of what he did, your whole house fell.
No, because he didn't fall until after the war or during the war. She would have fallen before that, but it still could have been his fault.
It was probably his fault because y'all may not have fallen before that.
No, the very few fell during the war. Actually, only 2 were ever that were part of the heavenly host were considered to have fallen. That was Usiel and one other. So she would have
Maybe it was
fallen.
like lack of just picking a side in general.
That
Just didn't pick a
probably
side.
was.
Yeah.
Indifference might have put you there. Mm-hmm.
Or she could have fallen because he chose not to fall.
Right. Right.
Or if that arrogant shithead is on the side of the maker, why in the fuck am I going to be there?
That's true too.
I
It's
mean,
impressive because they both created something that is like close to each other in the aspect of death. You said, "Yeah, I created peace." He's like, "I created the lack of pain," and I just watched you both kind of go, "Huh."
yeah. I did that on purpose.
I would say for me, Trimdeziel probably struggles the most with her humanity in that she knows she could fix everyone. Not in the same way that like Arazeth can, but she could walk down the street and just be like, do this thing, do blah blah blah. Like she could be the true muse to like the fucking world if she really wanted
To the
to.
broken people.
Yeah. She could be she could have all the faith she needed or ever could want for. She could have everything. But like she is completely tempered by like Kathleen's credos as like a psychiatrist that like you can't give the person the answer. You can't make them do a thing. You have to like help them have the tools to get to that point on their own while you support them as best you can. So while she doesn't show it and she's not walking around being like, shucks, I could have it all. There is that part of her that knows that like, cause she doesn't feel bad, but like she knows it was a very like rash decision to get like the thief to give up being a thief, to stop stealing and to write a book and like do something better with his life because she needed to go. You know,
It's funny you bring that up because you didn't do it out of a kindness to him. You did it
For convenience.
for convenience.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was your first example of, for Kathleen, how your powers, how powerful you are now compared to humanity, because that wasn't even using your power. That was just using your divine gifts, natural gifts, along with your divine gifts.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think for her, it's not necessarily she's struggling with her humanity. It's her struggling with the fact that like she knows she could do something that would end up being horrible because of like because of like Kathleen's like tempering of Trimdeziel. So yeah.
That's deep.
Fuck, mine's really fucking obvious. Carsador hates emotions. He thinks they're disgusting and they take up unnecessary space and attention, and so he shoves them down.
But he
as
still
a-
feels them.
Yep. He still feels them and he hates it too. And he hates that he hates it because hate is an emotion also.
Yes, it
So,
is.
do you hate that the maker gave them? Because even the angels had some emotions. Do you
Yeah.
hate that the maker saddled you with that?
No, he specifically hates the human emotion because
Okay.
it's stronger.
Mm-hmm.
He could deal with his emotions as an angel of the earth. He literally, if he got too emotional, he's like, all right, I'll just bury myself in the earth for a bit and just chill. Just hang out.
Interesting take on it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, like, fuck, I admitted it season 1 as him. As like Trim Desiel was going around like telling people like, here's how you deal with this thing. He's like, oh no, I just shove it all down.
Yeah, that's healthy.
Clark is not a good person.
No, and that was the way that Clark dealt with his emotions when he was alive too. He just shoved it down and ignored it. Fuck my family, fuck my sister, career. Oh, my career's not even fulfilling. All right, I'll just keep droning on.
Fuck all the people whose lives you ruined.
He was proud of a couple of them too. That's the worst of it.
Okay, we got 2 left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go last? You want me to?
I'll go last. You can go ahead.
Okay. I think for Agareth, I think it's just he sees any sort of emotional anything as just sort of like he looks at it from a logical perspective, which is counterintuitive. But I think for him, it's like I think the most emotional reaction he had at all really was during the possession, and that's just because getting that human sense of wonder. But I think once that passed, the analytic part kind of kicked back in and he just sat in it. I don't think his lack of humanity bothers him at all. I think it's more so I think for him it's more how does his lack of humanity affect the others in the choir, which hasn't really come up yet. But yeah, I think his would be more of like a secondary effect later, but for him it's not. Yeah, he's a very logical being. So for him, emotion is counterintuitive.
For Arazeth, the biggest struggle she has with her humanity or lack thereof, because in her case, it pretty much is almost lack thereof. She is about as close as you can get to being full divine being without being full divine being. As far as, her legacy versus what's left of the human she possessed. Her biggest struggle is with Virginia's children. She is relying on memories that she still has of what Virginia did with the children to supplement her own nature.
And her daughter even pointed it out to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she never got a chance to raise the children that she created. She has no idea what she's doing. But she's trying. Real damn hard. And she does love them. She considers everything that she gave the breath of life to her children. So, but it is a different type of love than the love Virginia had for them, as Morgan said. She doesn't see them as tools. She isn't sure what they are. But she knows that she feels that she's their mother, but at the same time, they're just different beings. So she's having to learn them and learn what works and what doesn't work. And she's going to make mistakes. So that is the biggest struggle when I'm playing her, because I'm a serial nurturer for real in real life. I got that big mama bear energy, and literally I am, just that's me. So trying to play that kind of awkwardly with her is a struggle. And that is a struggle for my character between her lack of humanity and what she's living in. So, yep. So TiVo does ask, favorite lore and specific power. I'm going to say mine first. That would be Lore of Winds, Fist of Air. That shit is fucking epic to visualize in my mind.
Punching shit. Just with air.
With air. Just
You get some air. And you get some air.
I can go next. I actually don't have access to it yet, but it is in I mean, this might be pretty cheesy, or pretty cliche of me, but my favorite lore is the lore of death. And the one that I'm really excited, not really excited, but kind of like, it'll be a neat concept if Drulariel gets it, to see how she handles it, is Unlife. So essentially make a fucking zombie. Yeah.
And it's going to be something so simple as point at corpse, it stands up, versus the necromancy of vampire where you have to put all this fucking work into it.
Point. She's not even going to point.
Just
She's just
look
going to
at
look
it.
at, just think, get up.
Get up.
I'm just imagining Michelle in fucking 90s rock paraphernalia, just like walking up to this corpse, just fucking like kicking her with the foot. It's like, get up, lazy ass.
We got shit to do.
Making her own, forgive me, I cannot remember for the life of me what his name is, but the zombie icon from Iron Maiden.
Eddie.
Yep. That is not dead, which can eternal lie, yet for strange eons, even death may die. That was on his tombstone.
I can go next. Shocker. It's lore of portals. Yeah, it's like all of them, because you really need one to do the next. I didn't really get to use the ward thing a lot, which is sort of similar to what Carsador was doing with the paths, keeping people out. I can do it with like portals, like doorways. But yeah, everything in portals is fucking gold.
I'm still chewing on my answer, I think.
I have an answer, but it may surprise you. I don't know. Sorry. I can't tell if Clark or August are gonna go. So because
just go, Morgan.
Okay. So actually, I'm a fan of Lore of Transfiguration. That's probably my own IRL things. Because but it's not the 5th level power. It's actually the 4th level power, Doppelganger. Because I feel like the interesting uses you can use it, especially with what some of the stuff I really wanted to do, which is what I was kind of hinting at when I was talking to at the end last session, talking to August about how I would like to talk to him and help him work through what he's working through and stuff. Doppelganger was involved in that, and it's probably never going to happen, unfortunately, but it would have been so fucking cool.
The viewers that don't understand, doppelganger is the one that makes you look like the person they expect you to look like.
Yeah. Or you can have, or if they concentrate on a very specific person, yeah. So it while as long as they can keep the image or whatever in their head, I believe you'd basically be able to keep it up. So because it doesn't have like a role or willpower use to keep it permanently like you can with the other one. But yeah.
Yep.
As much as I liked my Lore of Longing stuff, I think I really preferred the basic ass Lore of Fundament. I had a lot of fun using that, defy gravity, the manipulate gravity, just kind of like wee. Like, okay, here, I'll just get on this roof here. Wee.
You can do some bullshit when physics is your bitch.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
I
physics
just
is
imagine,
fun.
like, I just kind of imagine no effort, like jump, like, like Superman, like leaping over tall buildings, just kind of like, just like I imagine like a dotted line, literally just following behind August as he scales up to the top of the building.
We were literally in chat being like, I believe I can fly.
Yes, we were.
Oh my fucking god, we were.
I believe I can touch the sky.
All right, let's stop before we think about it every night and day. Okay.
See, we got a song in there even without the channel points. There we go.
This will come as a surprise to literally no one. It's Pat's, and it's the 4th level, which is the highest I ever got, which is Conceal. I used it twice. It was great both times. I turned Clark's apartment building into a goddamn labyrinth. That was hilarious. Eat shit, Fallen trying to stop us. And then secondly, I literally locked down a outdoor space.
Mm-hmm.
All the roads lead back to this compound. I don't care which one you take.
Mm-hmm.
It was magnificent to use.
Do you have a favorite lore and power storyteller?
Lore Fundament.
Lore Fundament?
Lore Fundament is the most broken set of lores.
I've got it too.
When you can play with not just gravity,
Physics,
adhesion, inertia, acceleration. There's so much that is quintessential of breaking the universe.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the fundaments, the physics is a fundament of the universe, and you are just like,
they don't apply.
yeah, I'm going to fuck with adhesion. I think I do want to skitter across the ceiling like a spider.
Scientific laws of physics no longer apply.
I want to walk upside down on the ceiling. I'm playing with adhesion. My feet stick to the ceiling. Suck it.
I'm going to chuck a pebble with the force of a fucking bullet.
Yeah.
I want to stop this car instantly without everyone thrown through the windshield. Okay, well, inertia's gone. Let's just stop. That's it. Done. We stopped.
We never even saw the highest level of that lore because it's insane.
Yeah, because it's like secondary for everyone. So
yeah,
yeah.
I don't think enough people really invest deep into it when
you can do so much at the low levels.
Yeah, it is such. There's so many little things you can do.
Yeah.
August had 3 dots in it.
Yeah.
You're the only one that put 3 in it.
Yeah, I think I have 1.
You did too, Clark? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so handy because there's the little things, the things you don't always think about. Yeah. None. See? There's little things you don't think about until it comes out after. You're like, oh shit, yeah. Yeah. I could jump on top of the steeple. Just okay. Effortless.
I mean, as far as utility, though, for my character, I will say Lore of Awakening is the most utilitarian for her. That is the one that allows her to heal, cure, or harm.
Anyone who plays World of Darkness, the ability to heal aggravated damage
is
ridiculously overpowered. And I'm not talking, it takes a lot of time. It's one action that turn, she can heal a bunch of aggravated on somebody.
Yep.
Not
even werewolves are that quick to recover.
Nope.
Yeah, that is powerful.
That's very powerful, but it is also very handy, especially in combats and shit. So to prevent you having to swap bodies. Okay, so Verdurous Viper does ask, who is your favorite Thrall and why?
I can answer this real quick. Robert, which is the one that showed up in his possession Mainly because I just imagine the two of them being fucking Leonard and Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. Like Thomas is the emotionless know-it-all, and Leonard's like the one, or Robert's like the one who's just like, dude, like, be a little more human, but somehow they still work fine together.
To be quite honest, House does not give a crap about either of his thralls because they really did not play much of a part. Like I said, mostly I have them because I have the dots on my character sheet.
They may come up more
to comment on that.
Right.
I don't bring. I generally thralls are a quick way to really fuck you over as players. I don't bring them in unless you bring them in.
Mm-hmm.
Same way I do touchstones and vampire. If you bring them in, hey, it's fair game. But if you don't.
So the woman I saved during my possession, I'm sure there's a conflicted feeling. It's like, hey, because of you, this happened to me. And like make August pissed, but like, hey, because of you, this happened to me, to make like positive, like, thanks for the body, you know? As for the other guy, what I think his name is, see, I totally know him, Zachary Hall. He's a white aspiring rapper. I'm sure like August /
he saw Vanilla Ice videos back in the 80s and 90s, and he just wanted
like,
to,
hey, you're trying, man. Like, cool. Like they probably buddied up after some like mutual gig, and he's like, cool, man. You're out there trying.
Yeah, but the Defiler helped him with those sick flows.
Yeah, totally.
For Arizeth, of her thralls, me personally, I think that the favorite of the characters would probably be Lori Moore, who is her medical director at the hospice she works for, mainly because Lori covers her with shit at work.
Constant absences.
Yeah,
short visits.
like it's not accidentally curing a dying cancer patient of cancer.
Damn, that doctor must have misdiagnosed that shit.
Or it's a miracle remission.
Mission so far, can't find a hint of it.
Yeah.
Not only that, but physically, you're like 10 years younger than you started.
Exactly.
Somebody walks in and says, she's dying. No, I'm feeling better. I think I can dance.
Better. Fuck, my character creates Monty Python characters.
I got
Always the same
better.
as a duck.
He turned me into a newt. A newt. I got better.
Nonsense.
For Trulerial, and so I'm conflicted. As much as I love Neptune, kind of starting to get on Trulerial's tits a little bit, just a little bit. So yeah, I love Neptune and I appreciate Neptune, but I'm actually going to say, because the question wasn't character specific, so I actually kind of think the hot dog vendor, Carsador's hot dog vendor. I don't know why, but it's just the idea of just going up to the hot dog vendor like, hot dog please, and just like, getting the hot dog and then, exchanging a little bit of information. Like it screams that like a spy movie to me. I don't know. So I love it. I love the concept.
Neptune, by the way, I deliberately made him in a way that he's a thrall for all the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. He is your thrall because he has always harbored feelings for Mars. Even though he has no chance in hell, it's not Mars's interest. He's a thrall for the wrong reasons. So the fact he's, as you put it, gets on your tits, guess what? That's by design. It's to show that not every thrall is done it for smartly.
Hey, just so you know, Drew Lyriel, if you want help with him, just hit me up.
Okay.
Because yes, I know it. For those that didn't fully grasp it, Mars is a lesbian. And the concept of he keeps trying even though he knows this doesn't work that way, people. It's not like she's going to wake up one day and go, oh, I'm not a lesbian anymore. No, it doesn't work that way. So that was the idea with this character, is that he in some ways mirrors what Mars went through. Except Mars has never strung him along like what happened to her. So he hasn't hit that despondent phase that she went through because she has never entertained that with him. So,
like I said,
I'm waiting for Clark to say it's his hot dog vendor. I'm waiting for it.
Clark has two thralls, one that is useful in a lot of situations, and one that is good in a very specific area. You all can tell throughout the stream which thrall I leaned on far fucking more.
The police
Phil
murder
is Phil. Yeah, I'll be fully honest. Quinn, I had no idea what to do with her. I'm like, police cars, not just a regular mechanic. She works on the police specifically. How the fuck does that help me?
Oh my God,
Like-
you just didn't. Jesus Christ.
No, I truly did not. I could not wrap my head around how to make her useful to me when stuff that could be in her wheelhouse came up. I do not know nearly enough about motor pool to know exactly how it functions or how it works or how it's set
Hey,
up.
if that police officer
hot
wants his
dog-
car fixed quickly, he'll delete the parking ticket. He'll look this up in the database for her so that his car gets fixed faster.
Fair enough. But see, I couldn't pull that out. I had no frame of reference. A hot dog vendor on the streets of Chicago? Dude's fucking seen everything. Like literally everything. It's like he could have been in Southside when the fucking vampires were sending drive-bys through in Windy City and reported it.
That's why one of Arazes is a construction worker.
Yeah, you get the people who see shit.
I expect you to really rely on the police murder pool mechanic, and you relied on the hot dog vendor. I
Yeah.
still find that funny.
You gave me two thralls. I was like, I can't seem to come up with any thralls, so give me some. And you handed me a gold mine and a girl who is really, really helpful when it comes to cop cars. I
There's
didn't
a
see
lot of
her.
things you can do.
I didn't see her potential nearly as much as I did Phil's. But Maddox's establishment is not something I know about, so I don't know how those systems work as well. So I couldn't take advantage of it, so to speak. But nah, Phil was a lot of fun and definitely would have been the one I hopped to had Carsador died
Mhm.
or had Clark died. I was fully prepared to get shot in the head, and then the next scene was me handing someone a hot dog and then going, whoa.
Yeah, I think Arazeth would have hopped into Lori and then fired that bitch that does the scheduling.
Relin, we're talking about what Arazeth would do.
Yeah.
Not just you. Look, Mama may have had some issues with scheduling people before. Might be some unresolved angst in there about scheduling people.
I did home health for a while.
I will say I have 4 thralls. 2 of them actually showed up on screen. In the first season, it was my the one who worked at worked at the hospital psychiatry doc. She's probably not my favorite. My favorite in its own weird way is probably the anxious weatherman. Just because it's an interesting to Trimdeziel and Kathleen, it is an interesting study in human, which is why he's probably the most interesting. Because she could fix him, like I said, from season 1 thing, just by basically telling him, fix yourself. But can she fix him without doing that? Though of the most useful, it's probably her coworker, because it's probably a similar thing like what Virginia was talking about.
Covers
where it's
for absences and shit like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
yeah. So
I also loved your weatherman just because that whole scene of just sitting there, he's like, yeah, this is awful. I don't like being here right now, but I'm here. It's like, wow, that mirrors my own therapy shockingly close. Yikes.
It was so good. It was so good.
It was brilliant. He was such a timid character. It's just like seeing a fallen just care for people in any sense is always just touching to
And
me.
she
'cause
gave
it's like,
him the
"Aw."
power to predict weather.
I was in that scene, that the one time he showed up, I was hella pissed that Cineval called me
Yeah.
and then tried to be like, "You're not doing anything important." I was just wanted to put my hand over my mouth and be like, "You fucking bitch, I will come out there and fucking twist your fucking head around and then stick your fucking foot up your ass." Like, like, fuck you, I'm not doing anything important. Like, you don't know me.
First of all, I'm a Faustian. I'm literally helping a human right fucking now.
Yeah, like I'm doing what it says on the fucking placard, which is help humans, better themselves and like and whatever. And you're like, meet me in this park right now.
Cineval is such a bitch. I'm sorry.
They show up and just twist her nipples off. Just
You know what?
she's a defiler. She can grow them back. It's okay.
Shit, Ragdan would have led the Faustians better than that shit.
No.
No, he wouldn't have.
He would.
I say that loudly, but I mean it quietly.
He would be the king of a cult. He'd make a monarchy out of it.
And then the mother would have to kill him.
I was gonna say, yeah. So yeah,
Dan's one of my favorite characters.
Couldn't tell.
I actually have referenced my fourth Thrall that I didn't ever bring up, never met or anything, because that was the person I was talking about I think I was talking to the homeless people, or maybe I was talking to Becca about how I was going to try and help do some charity events to get more money to like help people.
Yeah.
Because my other Thrall is a charity event organizer for homeless shelters.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, like I said, so I have like all these Thralls. I'm just floating in Thralls. Now I guess I have Joan too. Oops.
Yeah.
Joan's a special case.
Yeah.
She's not my favorite though.
We seem to have a habit. First season it was Nibas with Red and meeting the girl who thought she was kidnapped by aliens or some shit. And all of us just going, "Oh no. Oh no, you poor girl." Yeah. Just people getting like seriously fucked over by Fallen seems to be a weakness for at least one person a season so far. Because we had the college girl who thought she was abducted. We had Joan who was abducted
and rescued.
The human mind breaks in odd ways, okay?
I pity whatever poor soul gets caught up in this shit in season 3.
Season 3, it's whoever gets kidnapped is going to go into like a pocket dimension somewhere. So because we got to go from thinks it's aliens to the van to it's not Earth anymore.
You
say that. The prequel for the Days of Fire is the trilogy of the Fallen that has a whole group of people abducted and transported into a tree into a world of cloud. They went to a tree and now they're going, wait a minute, I'm like standing in the sky.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
Where is everything else?
I forgot. We sent a bunch of people to Ohio, so we kind of did
still
the third
better
one.
than Ohio.
We have the fourth one now. We need to go to the fourth step. So
God, why would you send people to Ohio? God,
because you gave me the idea.
You monster.
I kind of want there to be a one shot of people just playing those people after they got to Ohio.
Just a quick human one shot of just appearing in Ohio. Like,
God, I should have given you a torment for that.
Shoulda, coulda.
Just their journey back.
Has everyone
from Ohio.
answered that question?
Yeah, we're getting close to where we got to end this. So
so we've got two
more
questions. Yeah, 2 questions, and that's going to be the last ones. So Tivo246 asked, for Agareth and Carsador, if emotions didn't get in the way of things, would you want to feel them for the sake of entertainment or curiosity?
Or comfort.
Or comfort. Sorry, I thought it was curiosity. My bad.
I don't think at least for Agareth, I don't think he's against feeling them. I think for him he would just look at them for what they are and move on. So I don't, for him, it's not that like he felt that sense of wonder when he took Thomas's body. So he's not against feeling them. It's just I think that Thomas was so like caught up in work that he wasn't a very emotional person other than outbursts like when his theory failed, like that's what caused the final straw. So I think for Thomas, he only really feels like super strong emotion because otherwise he's just so focused on work. Agareth is like that but without the human component. So for him it's not that he's against feeling it or wouldn't feel it, it's just he doesn't.
Oh, as soon as I hear the question and Carsador blue screened in the back of my head, like, what do you mean? Emotions aren't entertaining or comforting. What? But if the disgust of emotion was not attached to him, if he willingly let himself feel, he would lean more towards the entertainment side, just because, wow, these are a very specific design and they're constructed in a very odd way that I wouldn't have built them as. So he would take it as the entertainment thing of research of this is a shape
So let me
that I
make a
see.
note of having your niece grab your hand and hold it and call you Uncle Clark, right?
I was so prepared for you to do that too, because I would have been like, he squeezes back but she doesn't realize that it's like squeezing in panic.
We're
Because
looking up at those big eyes calling you Uncle Clark.
yeah, he's already miffed enough that she is just so vivacious. He's like, the world sucks. How is this thing so lively? He does not understand that child at all, and he's fascinated by that family. But he's also... Carsador is what I imagine happens when pragmatism takes ethics and chucks it in the dumpster. He is the most pragmatic. I made a stereotypical malefactor completely because it felt right. He's not helping Clark's family reconnect with Clark because it's the right thing to do. It's because, oh, this is an imbalance. I need to correct this and move on. Even if he does get some joy out of it, he's not paying attention to the fact that he's getting joy out of it.
All right. Last viewer question from Ravenous Archon. Given all the other splats you played opposite of, which one was the most surprising or enjoyable?
This sounds like he's looking for mage as a response. I will say for that one, it was the most surprising, but the most enjoyable for me was demon, simply because it's so OP. You could just sit back and have fun with it.
Honestly, all of them, to some extent. For playing and then playing off of, like playing a certain character in a splat and playing off of other splats within the game. For Arazeth, the most interesting one, because she has had experience with 2 different splats over the course of 2 seasons. She has met a lupine or werewolf, and she has a guru. She has met a mage. And the most surprising to her, honestly, was the werewolf. Because the mage was human, but basically attached to a soul shard of the heavenly host. That made sense to her. Werewolves do not make sense to her. Because they should not exist.
They were not part of the act of creation.
Right. They should not exist. So yeah, that's the most surprising and enjoyable one to kind of explore. Because, yeah, that happened first season, but she brought it up again with Seneval, that these things exist and they shouldn't. People did this. They've already done what we've sought out to do with them, and they've forgotten. So yeah, I love playing that out with her because that is such an interesting theory of them to play out.
That wasn't from the lore. That was just something the players
That's
come up
something
with that I
just
like.
thought up.
Yeah, that I was like, oh, we'll go with that. I like that concept because, yeah.
I'll go next because my character's a little bit more convoluted in that way, where wraiths would not be surprising nor necessarily that interesting to Julia. I mean, yes, but not really. Whereas she never met the werewolf. She only heard about the werewolf. And I think the only other would have been the vampire with the car store. And I thought that scene was hilarious just because of the way that it was played. So, and even then, it was just kind of like, I don't get what the big deal is, but you seem to hate him, so okay. So, yeah.
I feel so bad because even when everyone's answering, I don't think my brain is comprehending the question correctly. And I was wondering if I could maybe hear it again.
Absolutely. It is. Hang on. I got to scroll back because there was someone that asked a direct question of my character, and I'm just going to type a response. Given all the other splats you played opposite of, which one was the most surprising or enjoyable?
Okay. Misheard it the first time. That's
Mhm.
why. Well, I've said it. I said it in like the season 1 Q&A, but Carsador despises vampires. The first murder spilled blood upon the earth. In the like generally accepted tale of it, it was done with a jawbone. Bone is part of the earth. So he was just bitter towards Cain and therefore everything that descended from him.
Which is why you made those
it was
daggers.
it was a very petty sort of hate. Truly. Like I say the tipping of the water was the most petty. Nah, just his general dislike of vampires is pretty damn petty.
Yeah, because you forged some daggers to go kill Cain and his descendants.
Yeah, may it kill them all quickly and efficiently.
Yep.
He's fascinated by the werewolves because, we really didn't make that. And then he also heard from that werewolf, oh yeah, the earth is alive, and his heart like skipped a beat. He's like, what? Alive? Really? Like he was so giddy that something that he had a hand in gained a life of its own. He was just so ecstatic about that. He couldn't even express himself. He buries all his emotions though, so of course he didn't show it so much. Wraiths he would not be interested in at all. They're emotional. My God, they're emotional. Same with changelings. He'd be far too annoyed by the fact that they're so bright and colorful. But nah, playing against vampires or playing towards werewolves was definitely the best for this, personally.
Who's next?
I don't really have an answer, I guess. My problem is in Demon, I haven't really played against other splats. And interacting with a mage for like 10 seconds and just being like, haha, little man. Uh, you know, uh, I would say like in Vampire, I hate interacting with other splats. Fucking hate it. It is one of the things I hate the most when I play Vampire is interacting with other splats. I deal with Tin Ripper because he has been a minimal, but I hate dealing with other splats in Vampire, especially Wraiths and shit like that, because I can't do anything about it. It's just they push the get fucked button, I'm fucked. In Demon, I feel like can be the one who can be like, I push the get fucked button, you get fucked. So I guess for Demon, since it's the Demon Q&A, I guess I don't know. I didn't interact with the werewolf. I didn't interact with the vampire. I didn't interact with any wraiths. I interacted with a mage for, like I said, 20 seconds basically. And so. I don't know. It depends on the system. Even in Mage, Mage still gives you the access to the press the you get fucked button. So I would argue that it depends on what splat you're playing for who you're and to what you're going against. But in Demon, doesn't fucking matter. Even if the Wraiths decided they wanted to get uppity, come at me, I'd be like, hey, Drew Liriel, let's go like fuck these bitches up, or if something crazy happens with the Earth, I'd be like, hey, Carsador, come slap your bitch. I mean,
okay, hang on.
Like,
I'll go get the riding crop.
I've got a conference somewhere. Agarith, I need a portal, bro. Like.
Demon does make a mockery of most of the splats. I gotta say.
I'm just saying. The only enemy that I have in Demon is like, I don't want to take this plane travel somewhere, so I just need to make sure I get a good picture of it from their pamphlet and be like, hey, Agarith, I need a doorway here for this conference. It's real important. So yeah,
it seems like demons play best off of other demons. Like all the other splats are great, but truly demons seem to play off best against other demons. Just from
because the only thing that is a real threat, let's be fair, even the spirits don't really have a way to threaten a demon. They can't possess you.
They can kill our skin suit, but we've got others.
Yeah. They try to hop into us and it's just occupado. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I have closed out.
Dan didn't answer that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, having played 2 total systems in World of Darkness, 3, I guess.
Chronicles was Chronicles.
Yeah, Chronicles was Chronicles, but I'm going to answer the question I thought you asked, and just of the 2, which one was most surprising, enjoyable? As much as I love playing in this game, most of it had to do with the people I was playing with more than I'd say the system. I'd say if August is fortunate to be in a future season, I'll probably enjoy this system more because I will have some more experience under my belt with it. Not to circle back to Wraith, but despite how challenging it was, I really liked being in that game. And I think Mama kind of alluded to it. One thing that I really enjoyed doing is delving into the emotion, and Wraith gave me that opportunity. And I like playing characters that I think we joke that I try to make people cry. I don't try to make people cry. I don't like making people cry, but this is an opportunity to be someone and really dive into who they are. And Wraith certainly, whereas August Bazazel is still a new character in a lot of fashions. Like in Wraith, you play someone who's been established and then is dead and thrown into this whole world that is new to them and just uncomfortable for everyone. And then you throw in the shadow there, like you get, like, it was a blast being Evie's shadow, just going completely out of my own personal character, being this gaslighting son of a bitch. So as much as I enjoyed this game, and I hopefully will continue to enjoy this game, it's because of the people I played with. So I guess between systems, Wraith, because of the challenge, is why I'd say that was a more surprising / enjoyable experience, but that's not to discredit how much enjoyment I got out of playing Demon.
All right. So now we're going to allow Shanky to give some thoughts before we close this stream out.
I do want to say it has been a privilege and an honor to be storyteller for these 6 players this season. You all brought it. There was a lot of curveballs with the lore that y'all were throwing at, because the players, much like a lot of their demons, don't know all the lore, which is great. And I have really enjoyed. I don't know when we're doing season 3, but I've really enjoyed Demon the Fallen. It is the fact that we're playing a low torment game, which I think is what made it fun. I don't think I would have enjoyed a high torment game where the players are just being monsters the whole time, but I really enjoyed the low torment aspect of watching these players try to do good without crossing that line. Even at his worst, Carsador, there's pragmatism you could have done that would have been horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really enjoyed, you are OP in a fun way. It makes it a fun story where the players for once are playing, because as many of you know, World of Darkness, a lot of the products are all about you have this power, but you can't use it.
Yeah.
Because to use it for Vampire, to use your powers. Masquerade Breach. For Wraith, the Dictus Mortem says, no, you don't do that.
For mages, Paradox.
Right, Paradox. Plus you have the Shadow and Wraith. Changeling, you're dealing with the banality of everything. Werewolf. The werewolf is its own fucked up problems. I mean, let's just be fair. But in Demon, the players get to be these once masters of creation, and though diminished, you are still able to just say, fuck reality and make it my own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of fun. It can be tough to find appropriate challenges for the players, but sometimes it's just fun to have a game where the players, especially when they're trying to be good, can win through judicious use of reality breaking abilities. Revelation is a problem for them, but it's not.
The world is ending. So what do we?
Yeah, because the red star is in the sky, people.
Yeah, it's the end of days.
And even without that, most people they get revelation, their brain explains it.
Yep.
So,
or you
like the
crazy
way it works
straw slurp the faith down.
Yeah.
And basically, I mean, it's also the way it works in Wraith with basically the fog. People explain away ghosts, and then in Werewolf, the delirium, it gets rationalized away, Yeah.
The delirium is better at hiding the fact that there's werewolves than exposing them.
I've really enjoyed both seasons of Demon because it's a fun system. Sure, if you're playing High Torment, I think I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. Maybe a one-shot. I don't mind a one-shot of High Torment, but I think it would have gotten too dark.
Yeah.
Playing High Torment the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
It would just be a mass of carnage and bloodshed. But by playing Low Torment, I have genuinely really enjoyed both seasons of this. And I don't know when we're doing season 3. Like I said,
it's to be determined. We
complicated.
We have a lot that we need to figure out logistically.
Right, because we've got Scion coming up. And thank you for the raid Onyx Path. Another one of Onyx Path's products.
Yep, thank you.
Scion is coming up from Zach Rules.
Mm-hmm. And of course, thank you, Ravnos Archon, for your raid after stream. We appreciate you, dear.
And then we've also got Vampire Dark Ages.
Yep.
Wow, I mean, we're doing a lot of Onyx Path around here. I'm just saying.
Yes, we are.
We got Vampire Dark Ages coming up. And of course, we still have our standard Windy City Vampire that's going on until it ends.
Yeah.
So I don't know when we'll do the next season. I do have plans for Promethean the Created to come up. Will it come up before season 3 of Demon? I don't know.
And Mummy at some point.
Mummy the Curse at some point. Will those be before Demon season 3? Don't know. But I will say I have enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great. And I do thank these players, and I thank you, the viewers, who have been with us for the ride. Because without the viewers, we'd be telling stories to ourselves. And the fact that all these questions you all have asked of us shows that you have been engaged with the story and you've really enjoyed what we've been doing. So,
y'all, it's been almost 2.5 hours of questions.
Right.
That's amazing.
That tells me you enjoyed the story we've been telling. And the beauty of each of these seasons of Demon, unlike each season of Windy City, each season of Demon is engineered in a way that you feel completion at the end of it. So when we go to season 3, you're not feeling you've been waiting for the completion of what story you've heard. Season 1, when it ended, that was the completion of that story. Season 2, when it ended, that's the completion of that story. You feel you've accomplished it. And when season 3 starts, it'll also have a completion at the end of the season so that you're not feeling Eclipse Phase from Le Show Day question. Yes, it's still in in the plans at some point. I don't know when. God, I got so many things I want to run.
That is his problem. He has all the ideas.
And before I can run them, I need to clear the plate to do them.
Yeah.
I have a day job that unfortunately takes up a lot of my time and a lot of my spoons. So
Yeah.
there's limits, but we will get to them.
Okay, let's
Trust
go ahead and do outro.
So I do thank everyone for coming. Please join us on our Discord. So you know, the cast of this show was cast from the Discord. We posted a casting call. People in our community said, hey, I want to play in this with you. So they auditioned. Not every stream has an audition. If you're scared about the idea of an audition, don't worry about that. Not every stream does an audition. There's only certain streams that do an audition. And that's normally a shanky run game where it's a long-running chronicle. That's just a thing that I do because I am Shanky McStabber, and we all know that I'm extra. That's just established fact around here.
Plus exceptions.
Well, it is what it is.
Please. We're married. Our whole house is
Extra, yep.
extra.
So if you want to catch up on our back episodes, pop over to our YouTube. We have so much World of Darkness products there. We have, let's see, Vampire, Werewolf, Changeling, Wraith, Demon, eventually some other stuff added to it. We've got Bluebeard's Bride. We've got, so many damn things. Monster Hearts, Nighthawks. We have covered so much damn content.
And so many one-shots.
We're not even at our 4th year yet.
No.
And we've got, there's over 100 episodes of Windy City alone now.
Back in September, we hit 3 years.
Yep. Yep. Windy City has over 100 episodes now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one vampire stream. So we've got so much content.
Yeah, we just finished up season 9 and that we're doing our Q&A on Sunday.
Okay, Clark, say it. I see you're about to say something.
And not to mention that our new RPGs keep getting printed all the fucking time.
I know, I want to do a Broken Tales stream.
Yes! Broken Tales. Because I want to play that. I don't want to run it. I want to play that.
Court of Blades, I got to do that. There's so many streams. So, we've got so much we want to do. So please check out our YouTube. If you want to see Call of Cthulhu or D&D, pop over to Ishvel's channel. That's Tiss, our British DM, our keeper, game master. She's our British doctor, jack of all trades that runs whatever is her whim that week. So pop over to Ishvel to give that. If you want to see some amazing content creators like the Ivy Raven down there at the bottom, check out our friends list. These are people who we say makes good content. And I know that Bazazel August down there at the house, he's not a TTRPG streamer, but he does have stuff going on. So come on, tell us what you got going on.
Every other week, I host the Fancast at 4 podcast, the #1 Fantastic Four fan casting podcast on the internet, presumably. This Friday drops the episode, What If Dick Wolf Produced a TV Show of the Fantastic Four?
Put a link in chat so people can pop over to do that. Because, hey, we love House. I've tuned into some of those episodes. They're really fun. It's different guests, different weeks. It's really interesting to hear their thoughts and their reasoning for various people directing them and what it would be like. So do that. If you want to get some studio merchandise, please pop over to our merch store. We still don't have our Demon merchandise up because, we're busy. We do need a Call Me t-shirt and a Daddy Issues t-shirt because one thing demons all seem to have are some daddy issues. Lucifer was king of daddy issues. Let's just be fair. So we're going to pop over that. And as always with our streams, bits and donations, they go to the players, not to the studio. Mama McStabber and I do not take the bits and donations. That goes to the people you're watching in the stream. Thank you, Junie, for the biddies. And that's a way to show your thanks to the players of the stream for the hard work. And we love doing it. It's fun, but there's a lot of work involved in these, especially behind the scenes, even with the players. A lot of coordination, a lot of hours spent going over character concepts and getting things ready for stream. So there's it's an effort of love for all of us, I think. If you want to support the studio, you can pop over to our Ko-fi. You can subscribe here on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, even hit the little notification bell and comment on the video because all that helps with our searchability on YouTube. We made a whole $21 this month off YouTube. Maybe we can make $22 next month. Maybe. Not if they keep hitting me with limited ad suitability like they did for the Windy City finale.
Well, that one was a bit mature.
Yeah. Like, it is what it is.
Sorry for saying fuck.
Oh, well, we say fuck every episode.
We say fuck every episode. It was all the wanton murder.
Oh shit! Were we
Apparently,
not supposed to curse?
sucking down someone's soul in Diablerie makes the ad revenue go down. They don't want you to. I don't know why.
Bunch of fucking prudes.
Yeah.
I mean, HelloFresh doesn't like that stuff.
I think it was, we mentioned the Spanish flu.
I think it was that too.
Given the state of the world, I think
Yeah.
mentioning the Spanish
I
flu
think that was it. Yeah.
is what did it.
Yep. But yeah, no,
It happens.
I'm sure HelloFresh would not want to sponsor that. Yeah, we actually got an invitation to be sponsored by HelloFresh. I'm like, how in the fuck are we going to work that in?
Yeah.
I could have done it, but it would have been way too campy.
I know.
We don't do a lot of
Do you
sponsorship
the beginning,
I
beginning or
personally
the
like
end?
being hashtag not sponsored. So
Well, the closest I come to sponsorship is, hey, you want to give me free TTRPG books for us to play on stream? Hey, I'm fine with that. Metaphys did it with Arcton Cthulhu. We had a good time doing it. We'll
Yeah.
probably do it again at some point.
Mhm.
But that is the closest we get to sponsorships. If people want to give
if
us
they
free
wanna send
RPGs,
us
we'll
shit
play
to
it.
play test, we will do it.
Yep, and we'll play it on stream because we don't play any. I don't play any games off stream now.
Nope.
It's only on stream. So,
Yeah, we will stream it.
and now I can turn it over to my lovely wife so she can give you our schedule.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us for the Season 2 Q&A of Demon the Fallen, The Road to Hell. As we all know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and this group has the best of intentions at times.
Ish.
Ish. Just like we're all adult-ish here. But yes, thank you so much. So coming up over the next week, we have on Saturday, Call of Cthulhu 7E, run by our amazing European keeper, Dr. Tiss. It is at 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, and this Call of Cthulhu game is called London Esoteric Society. This group of investigators are investigating very sus-ass shit going down in London and surrounding areas right around the turn of 1900. You see, this has been an ongoing campaign. They started out in the late 1800s, and their original characters all went insane, so now they're playing new characters.
Had to take a 10-year skip just so Maddie could get some sanity back.
Yeah. So 10-year skip. So join them now in the new century while they explore things that they really should just ignore and read things that they should not read, that they should actually be burning and probably stabbing each other in their insanity.
That's just the goth furry corn Ravinia that we love, who likes to stab her fellow investigators with cavalry sabers that you later find for sale in binways.
And then on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, join myself, Shanky, Timber Brad here, and Ivy Raven with the rest of the Windy City cast, including Mischievous Red and Your Any, Not Your Outie, at 5 p.m. Eastern for the live Season 9 Windy City After Dark cast Q&A. To bring your questions to us about Season 9 and what may be coming in Season 10. And we won't have anything on for Tuesdays for a minute now because we are preparing for next month. Scion will be joining us on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. So join us on Discord so you can hear when that's going to air.
Yeah, I'm sorry. After we did Demon, then we went for Mage immediately right about the time Demon ended. Then we did another season of Demon. It's been pretty back to back on Tuesdays. I need a break. I know Mage went straight to Demon, so that's 10 weeks straight plus Q&As. I need to take a month off before our Scion starts. I need some Tuesdays back for a little bit. So just letting you know. And unfortunately, the Demon or the Scion casting call just closed when this aired tonight. So
yeah, it did.
you missed your chance to get in it. Though I think Tiss is still looking for Call of Cthulhu guests.
For guests for Call of Cthulhu.
Yep.
So if you enjoy Call of Cthulhu 7E, you will want to join us on Discord so you can try to become a guest in her stream. And her guests often make recurring appearances.
Yep. Re-Rolls is part of the cast now. He applied as a guest, but looks like he's part of the permanent cast too. So it's always good to do that. And as we always in these streams, everybody, mental health. This is our PSA on mental health. It's not a joke. It's not a laughing matter. It's a very serious subject, and we take it very seriously here. Please check in on people around you. Check in on friends, family, loved ones, those you haven't heard from for a while, and just see if they're okay. A lot of times it just takes a helping hand, a rope, a lifeline of some kind to show people that someone cares out there and to get them off the edge. And if you suffer from mental health issues, first of all, I want to tell you it's okay to not be okay. Most of us in this world suffer from mental health issues of one way or another, and we all can't do it alone and by ourselves. So please reach out to those around you when you're in need of assistance or when you're in crisis. And if you don't feel you can, in chat's a list of numbers. You can call or text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there'll be a professional on the other end of the line to help you out. Because mental health is health, everybody. It's very important. And a lot of things change on this channel. Casts come and go. The people come and go. But mental health is always something we're going to try to help people out with. Now I'll turn it over to my lovely wife for her portion of her outro.
And also, as part of the generated information posted under the command for need help that I put, the very last entry is a link to findahelpline.com. If you are in the U.S. or outside of the U.S., you can go to that website to find helplines based on whatever you are dealing with, whatever your crisis is involving. And you basically put in your location and you will pull up a list of categories that you can find help with and get your help there. I'm Mama McStabber. I'm a registered nurse. So is Timber Brad here. And please, we want you to take care of yourselves. Get your vaccines. Take care of yourselves. If you're not feeling well, please get checked out. Don't just dismiss it as a cold. It could be the flu. It could be COVID. Who the hell knows with all the shit going around? Okay? Please get checked out. And y'all know I hate fascists. It don't matter where they come from or who they are. As I said last time I was on stream, that, I literally have my grandmother's baby brother died on Normandy Beach fighting Germans. Okay. So yeah, it literally, fuck fascists, punch them all in the face. And there have been so many fucking train derailments and chemical spills at this point that, yeah, it's just frightening. Just frightening.
Let's put back some regulation on proper safety for, well, all trains, not just hazardous chemical carriers, but all trains.
All trains.
I don't want to see people getting killed from faulty safety either. From passenger trains.
I also don't want the fucking air and water and earth to be poisoned.
All of them.
Yeah.
All trains should have proper safety and
Yeah.
proper brakes. We shouldn't be using 200-year-old brake systems.
No.
Which is part of the problem right now.
Yeah. So
Accountability too.
yeah. Yeah. I really, truly have just one ask of y'all this week, and that is just to be kind. Be kind. Being nice is performative. I am mean as fuck, but I am kind. Because if you're kind, that helps develop empathy. And empathy helps you to care about others outside of just yourself. And when we care about others, it actually adds to us instead of takes away. Said with love.
And trans rights are human rights. And I also want to say sensible gun regulation does not violate the Second Amendment.
No, it doesn't.
Sensible gun regulation adheres to the well-regulated part of the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
So I do thank you all for coming. And I really thank this cast for this amazing season. It has been a blast. And we'll see you all for our next stream. Good night, everybody.